not gonna lie to you kids, it's a fucking jungle out there. Keep your head on tight. Unknown brain and mind me, baby, let's do it. Y'all see me flying, never drop down, smoking high, I am not round, I'm not round, no denying what I got now, keep an eye out, keep it locked down, see me flying, never drop down, smoking high, I am not round, I'm not round, no denying what I got now, keep an eye out, keep it locked down, you're too strong, wanna battle with the beast, bring a few on, the commander and the chief for my crew on, bullets rattling and whistle at your toque, never sleep, eyes open, hands clutching on my loop, it's a war zone. It's a war zone. Yo, this a motherfucking war zone. It's a war zone. Yeah, feel the impact. Yeah, break it open, leaving nothing fucking intact. Hey yo, you been hacked. You're safe, hard in, but I found it, homie, been cracked. But ain't nothing inside. Hey yo, we been back. Your band stacking, see you flexing with the thin stack. Flexing on the beyond. Hey, you been whacked. I kill 'em all, feel a motherfucking impact. Yo, this a war zone, homie, say you ready and prepared. Take a minute, make them aware. Well, I'll be sneaking in the back, but it's what the clap, homie, life ain't fair.
And welcome back, everybody. Apologies for the small little tech issues, but we were already into game for Don't Go Top versus the Rising Phoenix. And first blood has unfortunately already happened. And you didn't miss much. I'll go ahead and catch you up on it. Now, Ratatosker was pushed up a little bit too far in lane. And then Lil Dizzy came in out of nowhere, slicing and dicing away. Afro went ahead, followed up. The flash was used there, and Afro went ahead and got the first blood. So solid stuff overall. And I like that I'm seeing Lil Dizzy take his early presence as you see him get again on that bot side. Meaning Caster, apologies, I haven't had this time to say hi. Nice side stuff from him. Braum is pushed up, and that is a bed. There's a dead Braum here going over to unknown. So super solid stuff so far.
Yeah, and there you have it, ladies and gents. That's your instant replay right there. Rav lining it up for you. First kill was exactly pretty much just like that, where Lil Dizzy just comes in from behind and starts that up. And like you said, Lil Dizzy already making the action happen. And frankly, that's great for him. That's what you want to see coming from Don't Go Top. This was how they started their Cinderella run, with a lot of early game action, a lot of really good map movements in the early game, which they then snowball to close games out here. And it looks like they're already started here in this game one of this best of 5 finals.
So obviously fantastic stuff, and I love that I'm seeing Lil Dizzy go ahead, take that early presence, and also help out Efron too, considering he's much new to the squad. So helping him get rolling is fantastic, especially in that brand matchup too. The Orianna can probably fall behind depending on how aggressive that brand is. And I gotta be honest here, man. If I'm the whenever I play brand in general, I don't like it, but on the flip side, though, because of Lil Dizzy's presence, he goes back a little bit too early and doesn't have enough time to set up for that dragon. So first Drake still gonna go ahead and go over to Rising Phoenix.
It is that Mountain Drake here, so it's not the end of the world for Don't Go Top. Mountain Drake, not the strongest early, but it does skill up as you get more and more resistances. And one thing you'll have to notice, they've got a Brawl, they've got a Volbear, they've got a Dr. Mundo. When you talk about tanky stats, these guys are some of the best in class here. So will be scary later, but at least it won't punish them early. And they can continue to look for that early game dominance here. We do see Lil Dizzy also just taking everything from the top side. He knew he lost a dragon, no Herald available yet, so he does the next best thing. He takes everything you've got in your jungle.
So not too bad at all from him, but we were talking a little bit about this overall early to mid to late game, right? So with that, let's go ahead and set up some of these win conditions, right? What are we seeing that both the teams have to do to execute on the compositions?
for the side of Rising Phoenix here, their composition doesn't necessarily want to win early. You've got a Senna who scales infinitely. You've got a Brand who really starts to pop off in these massive team fights here. So the early game, not necessarily what you're looking for. And your Dr. Mundo, another scaling champion who becomes an absolute monster into the late game here. So they need to survive, but they're not doing that well right here.
Ratatosca goes, the shockwaves in, and he's just out. That's just it. Lil Dizzy will be the one to go and get the kill this time, but this, like, Ratatosca's not having a fun time in lane. He's just getting camped a little bit.
Lil Dizzy has just been everywhere right now for the side of Don't Go Top. And Ratatosca, immobile champion here on the Brand. And unlike the other two lanes, he's got no tank to save him. Mogcaw is tanky enough. Even if he gets ganked, he walks away. Bot lane, Major Zeo is there to protect Crunchy Bacon Bits, but where is Ratatosca's support? Hefty Hedgehog wasn't there to back him up, and Ratatosca now has to be careful. He already used the teleport the first time to get back into lane, and a pinch coming into the bot lane here.
Lil Dizzy has a beautiful gang setup, which pushes almost all two back. This time he's on to Crunchy Bacon Bits, and he wants a slice and gets that dice. That saying that go nice on my hot dog, although the kill doesn't want you to go on the same melee though.
I mean, just as I was talking about bodyguarding there and how Major Zeo can bodyguard Crunchy Bacon Bits, you see Major Zeo just going, nope, I don't want any of this. Lil Dizzy already level 6. At the onslaught of shadows, he just ditched right away. But the price of that is another major objective going the way of Rising Phoenix here. 0-4 the score right now. They're down about 2,000 gold here, but they're up 2 major objectives. So we say that for the side of Rising Phoenix, they want to scale up. This is not the worst case scenario. Yes, they're down a whole bunch of kills, but it's not game over by any stretch of the imagination. You look over to the side of Don't Go Top, though, they want to be the ones controlling the pace of the game. You've got a Hecarim, you've got great gank potential, and you've got set up in all your lanes here. Set has CC, mid lane, the Orianna has CC and Burst. Bot lane, Saint Melee with that Maokai. Again, you've got Burst. So they want to take control, and they're playing to their win con so far.
Speaking of burst already happened, Ratatosca just bursted down immediately by Efra. One more auto flash out of the queue will take it instead of solo kill for the Orion. Meanwhile, top side that we saw Sever barely being able to, barely not killing Maka. Like I said before, your Mundo, just pop the ultimate and you'll go and get all the healing back. And plus, Hefty Hedgehog came at the right time to save his Mundo as well. But so far, Don't Go Top. Number one, breaking through, going top. And number two, executing it like we were saying to all their win cons. Lil Dizzy showing up, Efron showing up, and Sever farming just fine.
Yeah, and that mid lane kill was a 1v1. There was no Lil Dizzy this time. This is the first kill that has happened without Lil Dizzy's interference, and that's not good news for Ratatosca here because he's now starting to struggle in the 1v1. Good news is he's still farming up perfectly fine. He is even in CS against Efron. And as we start approaching, all the ultimates being unlocked here for all the lanes, you are going to see a bit of a power spike coming back for the side of Rising Phoenix. They want to get a nice big AoE and a good steal away from Ratatosca as well on that Scuttle. Gives him vision, a little bit of protection from Lil Dizzy, and gives him, more importantly, gold and experience to try and catch back up a little bit. And that is going to be absolutely massive because more than items, it's levels and experience that these mid laners need here.
Most definitely so. As we see Major go to get aggressive, gets the knock up on the Saint melee, but with the quite tricky, but Unknown has to pop the kill instant just to get to the right side of the map. Still locked down, but here's a TP from Efron. Massive shockwave goes ahead and gets 2. But can they go ahead and get more? Though is the question as they go ahead and get shielded up and do get out heal as of Crunchy Bacon Bits. But that'll be all she wrote for now.
For now, Efron's still not quite at that power spike. Has a lost chapter, but the tier still stacking. Not the most combat stats in Ratatosca. Is he going to look for this fight here? Possible pinch coming down on Efron.
Is he going to get in? Hecarim goes to use those shadows as he immediately onslaughts all of them. And Efron's left by himself. Ratatosca chasing down, gets stunned up. He's just dead. Oh no! Pacing a bit too far here, and Saint Melee gonna pop the ultimate to just try to take down Major Zero, but he finds the sweet spot right in the middle of those cats.
And that's huge for the side of Rising Phoenix, because not only do they finally get on the scoreboard in terms of kills, they once again get priority on the Drake here. That'll be 3 straight major objectives. You can see them starting it up. Though Dizzy only now respawn. Even if he hoofs it back as fast as he can, he will not make it to the Dragon Pit in time. And Saint Melee, there's just nothing here they can do. At best, they maybe find Hefty Hedgehog.
As we're seeing, he is quite low, though, but they just don't have the follow too. We saw the killer instinct was popped already before. The shield, Hefty Hedgehog from that Sky Splitter will keep him alive and get a chance to go ahead and get out. Meanwhile, top side, Malkaw's getting aggressed on, but it's can go ahead and walk away. Like I said, he's a Mundo. He's fine. But still, Rift Herald is going to go ahead and be popped.
That's an interesting use of Shelly there. I mean, he will get a bunch of plates here, but I don't know if that was a mistake and he was potentially trying to ward, or whether he was actively trying to distract Sever there in the top lane. And we should talk a bit about this top lane here, because it isn't the isolated top lane we kind of expected from Don't Go Top. Sever on the set has the advantageous matchup here. So he is expected to win against Malkaw, but Malkaw is doing well to just survive and continue to skill up, become that unkillable Mundo. And we see Efron trying to get a gank off here, but there's not really anything you could do. If he could have gotten the shockwave off, if Sever was close enough, maybe you get something. But if not, you have to be careful of that sadism. And I'm not sure if they're tracking the cooldowns. It is almost back up here.
Yeah, he kind of just walks into lane and says, here you go, and just puts a little bit of damage onto him. So interesting strat overall. We see Botcha, the Unknown, go ahead and get locked up. Braun possibly takes down as well. The Glacial Fisher used Q. He's so much damage already made onto Unknown, but he's staying alive for so long. He's gonna go ahead and get his damage out, but Brunch Bacon Bits doesn't have to sustain. He dies for it too. He doesn't have the lethality yet. Oh no! But still, Major getting one back, so not necessarily what you want to see, but an even trade at the end of the day.
1-for-1, but it's the ADC for the side of Don't Go Top who picks up the kill, whereas it's Major Zeo for the side of Rising Phoenix who gets the kill credit there. So that is going to hurt Crunchy Bacon Bits a little bit there, not going to get quite as much gold. And now Crunchy Bacon Bits finally completed the Mana Mune, so won't be too far behind in terms of stacking that tier for himself in the bot lane. But right now, you're still seeing that early game strength from the side of Don't Go Top, and you're likely to continue seeing this strength because they have the better lanes right now. And it's up to Rising Phoenix. If they want to come back in terms of kills, they have to look for a team fight where they're the ones not getting hit by a 4-5 man shockwave from Efron. If they can survive that 4-5 wave, if they don't get, caught by a 4-5 man shockwave, then they'll actually probably win that fight with the likes of that Pyroclasm, that point and click there, as well as the sustained damage that can come up from the Volibear and the Dr. Mundo here.
Yeah, and plus, as you saw previously too, with a gank a little bit ago, down at the bot side by the river, by the jungle, with Hefty Hedgehog getting pretty much a double for himself. That was also him taking advantage of not only splitting up Don't Go Top, but taking advantage of the cooldowns. You could say they didn't have much sums. Killer Instinct was already used, and with the same money left at the back. So if they're able to go ahead and work around the cooldown, some of them that being for Don't Go Top, that's an easy way to go ahead and get back into the game. But I would like to say for Don't Go Top, I do definitely want to see Efron more. I like the idea of him going to go support Sever. The execution was a little bit off for me, but considering he has priority there, I want to see that roaming mid. Let's see if there's Shockwaves on bot side, baby.
Honestly, at this point, I'm not even sure that they need Efron to do anything here, but they're going to collapse on Hefty Hedgehog.
Yeah, he really goes in. He's in the middle of three people. I'm not too sure what he's thinking there, as he has to use the ultimate to go ahead and get out. But Donnie's Shadow pull him back in as he's feared, he's scared, and he's dead.
There, and Malkaw is going to dicing territory there. They can all engage on him. And one thing I want to note before this fight starts up is Sever has Blade of the Ruin King completed right here, so he can win the 1v1 much less when they've got a numbers advantage here.
Yeah, they easily can, and now with him dead, I still have to say, I was definitely a questionable play for me as to why he chose to go in instead of get out, especially since there were 4 strong there. Malkaw was not there either. He was still trying to farm at their top side, and nor did they have been in priority. But Sever could go ahead and get a Crescent, pulls Malkaw back in. But he's immediately fighting a backside showstopper used immediately, with so much healing going back and forth. The shield as well, and pop goes the Mundo.
And you can see right there, the Blade of the Rune King right now does chunk through Malkaw. Yes, the healing is a ton from the sadism, and it's still hard to take him down, but definitely Malkaw has to be careful, because in those trades, if his ultimate's down, he can get shredded. And now the second Rift Herald will be summoned, this time by Don't Go Top. It's their first major objective, and they're looking to pick up first turret as well. Give Sever that extended long lane in which he can continue to try and abuse Malkaw here. And I'm just waiting to see an execution is coming up for Sever. We already see it from the side of Unknown. They're looking forward to that next team fight, towards that next dragon, which is going to pop up in about 5 seconds here.
Just as you're saying too, especially to now with the dragon being up as well, they're basically looking to go ahead and gain some priority across these lanes. He's already had Malkaw pushed in, and the set's looking fantastic, like you were saying. But drag has already been started up for the side of the Phoenix Rising. Little Dizzy gonna go to catch the brand on the backside, but so much damage. We take in the face. He's dead. Killer Ursa going to match it too. Oh my god, he's back to manage to live. Meanwhile on the backside, shut down. Coming in from Markov for all the pitches taking on the face now, but now fights go quickly back and forth. That's a double kill for the Dr. Mundo, and then we're being popped back and forth. Afro going to flush out, but he's just almost so man left alive. That's triple for Dr. Mundo, and Efron is gonna go and try to equal it up at the end of the day. That is a ace from Don't Go Top. That was such a mishmash of a fight.
Yeah, very chaotic there, and you could see Rising Phoenix. They were trying to burn down the dragon as quickly as they can, but they weren't quite fast enough there, and because of that, they were the ones who got hit by the Wombo combo there. They didn't get to get their Wombo combo off, but they did so much damage in that fight there. That Pyroclasm, despite the fact that they didn't quite get the setup they wanted, Ratatosker's Pyroclasm almost managed to win that fight, but it was Efron ultimately staying alive, and the Archangel staff not even completed yet, is close to being completed. The way he played the bushes, the vision there was great, and it barely let him pick up the ace there on to Unknown. So really well played from Don't Go Top, but it was Rising Phoenix who got the dragon, and they're now at Soul Point here. They've been so efficient with their dragon stacking. It will be a Cloud Soul, so not the scariest thing to see, but still, it's a nice thing to have.
There's a Cogmeter right now, too, fighting up against the Sever. The 2 damage does not land, and now it is Sever who is in trouble as Markov picks up his solo kill. Those 3 kills come in real handy.
And I'm a little bit surprised there, but again, no healing cut from the side of Sever yet. Rather than the execution of Skulling, he went for a Joram's Fist instead. So you've got a bit more health, but it doesn't really matter when you're up against that Mundo who can just chunk you with those trophies here. This is the championship Mundo. This is Taipei Assassin's Mundo. He wants to pick up another trophy here in the Risen League.
Yeah, he most definitely does here, especially for Sever, along with the Haymaker. If he doesn't land the full 2 damage onto the Mundo, those trades are going to go very wary for him, as you just saw there. Because Mundo is quite fast. As long as he keeps landing those cleavers, gets the healing back, and slows you down, he'll be able to pretty much just kite around a lot, assess damage. But look at Maka going to get aggressive. But Little Lizzy goes back into trying to push him away. But he's in the middle of 3. Nice ultimate to going to get out for himself. But Efron there to support his jungler. Now Big is going to flash down, flash in, and ultimate out too from the bear. But Efron was able to live. He's quite strong. And he's on the wrong side of the jungle, he says. But the robot will maybe not get the kill, but the bear will die.
Efron going real low there, about 18 health, I think, was at the lowest point I saw there from that Pyroclasm, just barely able to survive, and he was so lucky. That Seraph Embrace converted right before that part started. If he did not have Seraph Embrace, Efron would be dead, but instead, he somehow survives. Hefty Hedgehog just diving onto him there, and Don't Go Top pick themselves up another kill here. And so far, we've just been seeing brawl after brawl between these 2 teams here. It's game 1 of the finals. They're hyphy. They want kills. And one thing we haven't been seeing is turrets going down. There's only been 1 turret in that top lane, and it was thanks to Shelly as well as a bunch of pressures so far. And the way these teams are going, I feel like we're not going to see turrets go down unless we see an ace or some sort of big brawl happen first.
Yeah, most definitely. So, like you were mentioning, Vindicaster, it's just been so back and forth, especially in his team fight too, because you saw this previously there from the Oriana from the set. In that Sarah set in combat, like you mentioned, that turn coming from Hefty Hedgehog would have very well been worth it, especially since Little Dizzy had already used his ultimate to be able to go ahead and get out that onslaught of shadows. Like, he used to actually escape. It was not a good look, but very close to overall. But now the name of the game is still Efron being able to stay alive. As a going to pass for myself, Onslaught of Shadows immediately used to try to get onto Ratatosker, but he's a bit more careful now. He has some wards that are along with his support.
That is the flash taken out from Ratatosker here, so he will not have that available in the next fight or the next time that Onslaught of Shadows comes his way. And for Ratatosker, he doesn't need to survive these fights. If he gets the Pyroclasm off, that's about 80% of his job done in a fight here. So even if he doesn't have the flash up, it's not the worst thing in a fight, though it will certainly hurt. And now, the way both teams have gone, we have to look at what the next team fight is likely to look like here. Efron has that Seraph's Embrace completed, looking like he's trying to build into that Liandry. He's not done yet. Execution is calling now done for both Sever and Unknown. So Malcaw not going to be quite as tanky in these fights, even with that sadism ticking by here. And when you look at the ADCs as well, Unknown 600 out of 750 stacks, almost there for the conversion. Crunchy Bacon Bits, 580 to 750, pretty close by as well. And are we seeing an attempt at Baron? I don't think they have enough damage. They're going to have to peel off on this, and instead they're going to completely just lose out the Dragon. No team fight to be had here.
Yeah, a questionable call there by themselves. I understand they want to try to set up the vision around, but the Dragon was up, and considering this is sole point for Phoenix Rising, they just give it up completely. I guess just go ahead and set a couple of wards here and there. And I mean, that's not worth it all, man.
I think what Rising Phoenix were thinking was that we've got Soul Point here, and we don't care that much about the Cloud Soul, and the Shockwave gonna catch too, but not that much damage. I don't think we're gonna see a fight off the back of this. I think they're more thinking we can catch out Don't Go Top, who have to take the Dragon, or else they lose the Soul, and we can try and sneak the Baron. But unfortunately for them, Don't Go Top didn't commit all their members. They had the better vision, as you said, Rap, in the bot side. So they knew jolly well that Rising Phoenix was not in position to contest that. So they could safely take it, send other people to check elsewhere on the map there. And an interesting gambit from Rising Phoenix. It doesn't pay out. And now we'll have to see how this goes, because they did certainly waste a bit of an opportunity there.
Yeah, they most definitely did. No, but now the next main objective on the map being that Baron. You're mini casting up both of these teams. Definitely one. There's Malka getting super duper low. It's collapsed out immediately. You pops a sadism and flashes out too. But I don't know if people that are able to live. There's a showstopper too. That one more tick will do it. There's a shutdown coming in from Sevar. But now it is on to Hefty Hedgehog as Pop goes the bear. And all goes wrong for them too. They want the back to reach the brand. Pop 2 for the blight coming from Unknown. Look at how they're playing this team for mini caster. It's not even front to back, it's back to back, and that's Baron for Don't Go Top.
And that wasn't a team fight. That was a flat-out execution there. Like I said, execution is calling for Sever. Means that you can't rely on that sadism for Mogcall anymore. And because of that, they find him, they catch him. Hefty and Ratatoskr, that was just icing on the cake. They should not have been there. Mogcall was already dead. And because they could find those 3 picks, they find Baron as well. And Rav, I never thought I'd say this, but the Kaisa flank is looking real scary there.
Yeah, the Kaisa definitely looks absolutely brazy here, brother. As I like to say, also considering she is now almost 3 items strong, has completed more mana, the Rage Blade and the Stinger, along with the Executioner, so they're making sure that nobody's getting any healing at all. But after might be collapsed on, does want to pop the flash, so we'll go ahead and live for another day. But after with no flash, does present an opportunity for Hefty Hedgehog.
Yeah, and that looked like Ratatoskr just trying to force a play there. The TP, the running in, it was a good idea. And frankly, I kind of think it's worth here. There's no major objective on the map. Baron's down for the next 5.5 minutes here. And your Cloud Drake's not coming up for another 2 minutes. You're at Soul Point. You can afford to give that over. Trying to make the play. If you catch Aphron, you stall out the push for now, but it's all Don't Go Top's choice here of where they want to go. They've got Baron buff. They're up a bunch of gold. They're up power spikes in their items as well, and they can really just choose to force down any lane. 4-1 right now. Mogcall cannot fight Sevar.
Yeah, they most definitely do that. Now they're trying to go for that 1-3-1 type split, but we saw it before too, because all the laners on the side of Phoenix Rising are still quite strong. They're not necessarily to be taken advantage of, but Lil Dizzy looking for flank onto either country Quimbits and goes out of Major Zero. She goes into the shadow too, not gonna be picked up as of yet. Allowing the Hefty Hedgehog there to try to dissuade any more diving, but Mogcall is being pushed out of top side. Like you were mentioning, you mentioned with the executioners, he just cannot rely because he's so far behind. The set is so strong, man. Sever doing absolutely fantastic as they force down this mid and top side.
And Sever's just gonna go in on this.
Yeah, he's gonna go and dive in, punch his way back and forth, sadism pop right as the last moment to get some healing back to make sure he's not bursted down as of yet. But here's the re-engage coming on to Sever. He pulls it back in, but he's just dead.
Yeah, I mean, you win that 1v1, but you don't win a 2v1. And unfortunately, those cleavers or those trophies there just allow Mogcall to stick onto Sever and make sure he can't run away. Potentially a death bush here. This might be
a little bit hairy, but nothing looking too scary, as only the kitty cats will go ahead and tag up the side of Phoenix Rising.
I mean, the death push, I like the idea there, but the Spidey senses thing, they managed to just back right out as fast as they can. And unfortunately, that Nature's Grasp from St. Melee, it's a great disengage tool. But for an engage tool, not necessarily the best thing there. They did, however, pick up both the mid lane turrets. And that's going to be absolutely massive here because now they've got the entire map cut in half here. The top side as well got shoved in. There's only turrets in the bot lane, but those turrets are just bait. You're not safe under them. They can dive under and they can just collapse from every which way here. So for the side of Rising Phoenix, they need to play it a little safer here and look to try and find a catch. And I like the fact they're not even going for this Cloud Cloud Drake here because they don't win a fight on open ground right now.
Yeah, most definitely do not though. As the Baron will go ahead and expire off of all, don't go top. As they're fighting over the chickens, is this the fight you really want? Here, little Daisy, he's gonna go cast over the backside of almost everyone here. He will go ahead and get away. Meanwhile, almost everyone don't go top. Nice shockwave, killer instinct in, and everybody people die here. That was beautiful execution. The brand goes by, turn to the little fizzle, but Unknown will be shut down by the bear though. On the backside, we see Melee fighting against Malcolm. This is such a split team fight here, Minion Caster, but at the end of it, results in a 2-3 in favor of Phoenix.
Yeah, and I almost want to say unlucky there on how that one turned out, because if Malcall had been there just a second earlier, maybe that fight turns out very differently. But either way, they do manage to sort of win the fight also because Sever's just completely disengaged. Sever just opted to go push the bot lane and said he's focused on winning the game. He doesn't care about kills. He knows that it's not kills that wins games. It's structures that wins games here. So they do manage to get the bot lane, both those turrets in the bot lane as well, and that's growing their lead. It's almost a 10,000 gold lead for the side of Don't Go Top here. And I said that Rising Phoenix wants to scale, but you can't afford to fall behind this far here. 28 minutes. Judging by the average game time, 30 minutes is usually when both teams sort of look to close out the game. 31 minutes here, and Don't Go Top is right on track for that here.
Now, if we are playing by chess rules here, which I'm sure we're not, right now, if I am Don't Go Top, like you mentioned, I'm looking towards my end game. Where can I go ahead and set up my pieces to be able to execute to the best of my ability? That way I can make sure my opponent either concedes defeat or I simply take it by the grasp, right? Like you're mentioning, one of those ways will be Sever consistently pushing up in the side lane, pushing on more and more of those turrets, opening up the map more so, and putting pressure up on the lane states here for Phoenix Rising to make sure they have to respond, and then fighting on the weak side. Next would be playing around more so on these objectives. The Baron is up into the 35 seconds, and if they can another team fight like the one they did on Malka and Hefty Hedgehog, that'll be another free Baron. And with the lanes that they are right now, they should be able to force down mid and at least 1 or 2 inhibitors as well.
Yeah, exactly what you said, Raf. All they need to do is play that 4-1 right now. They're stronger in pretty much any open ground situation and just wait for that Baron that's coming up in 15 seconds, because now you're forcing Rising Phoenix into a tough spot. If they give up that Baron, they're going to have their base cracked open. There's very little doubt of that. So they now have to fight for the Baron, but at the same time, Don't Go Top can always just look to try and catch out people in rotation or just look to push in the lanes instead here. And Hefty Hedgehog's going away from the mid lane. Crunchy Bacon Bits is not there. This could end up badly if the side of Don't Go Top decides to just initiate onto this. And Lil Dizzy is looking real hypey here.
But look at the TP on the backside as well. Efron coming in. Massive shockwave goes ahead, gets you. And the Glacier Fish will also go knock everybody up. And Little Dizzy, no Tifa was slicing everybody in the back. But look at Unknown. Unknown is untouched. And he does not care here, man. That Kaisa has finally reached the mark where she eliminates and eviscerates everybody. And at the end of the day, that is the ace. But if it Don't Go Top, and honestly, the way we're looking at it, that is the game number 1 here as well, meaning Caster. What a fantastic time from them right from the beginning. Don't Go Top knew their win cons and they played to it. The big shot was as well to Little Dizzy, who was everywhere across the map. Fantastic stuff, man. I love seeing that.
And this is what we came here to see, right? Like we wanted this. Like we already said right off the bat, this is the finals. This is the most exciting series, and this is exactly how it should kick off here with Lil Dizzy just all over the map, just wrecking everyone all over the place. And Don't Go Top, they're the Cinderella story, and this is how they've been doing. Like I said at the beginning of the game, this is the way they play. And Rising Phoenix, I think, got caught a little bit on the back foot. They've not, up to this point, really faced one of the stronger Division 1 teams. I believe they played in the quarterfinals. They faced off against the Collective, who was also tied fourth with the likes here of Don't Go Top, but it's a very different tied fourth. This is a tied fourth who fought through everybody, through the first seed, through the third seed, all the way up to the finals right here, and they're really showing why that's the case. And what I want to see is Rising Phoenix live up to your name. Come back from the ashes of your defeat in game 1 here, because you're stronger than this. You have to be stronger than this. You are the only Division 2 representative left after, I believe, it was the quarterfinals here, so they need to show up big.
They most definitely do here, Mini Cash. I just want to go ahead and point out something real quick, that Dr. Mundo did out damage everybody on his team and also on Don't Go Top. He had 21,700 damage. Well, only really close to the Oriana, which had 20k. That's insane. Like,
and even
Mundo.
And even when we saw the executions coming through for Sever there, even when his team was falling behind, Malcall was still able to 1v1 and apply pressure onto Sever. Sure, he did get pushed back, but anytime he's under a turret, Sever has to be careful, and Sever always has to be careful of ganks as well. I think the Dr. Mundo worked fine. You can leave that, and frankly, I think it's more letting Lil Dizzy really take over the game like that. I know they're concerned about Efron, and Efron showed how scary he is on the Oriana, but I think maybe you let the Ashe through. Unknown on Ashe is scary, but the Kaisa frankly looked scarier, and we'll have to see which sides they go to. I believe Don't Go Top as side selection here, so they might choose blue side and go for the Hecarim, and then Rising Phoenix might want to just ban out the Hecarim altogether.
Now, like you mentioned, that all remains to be seen as you take it to a very, very short break. We'll be coming right back at you with game number 2 for these finals. You do not go anywhere. We'll be right back. Arisen.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie to you kids, it's a fucking jungle out there. Keep your head on tight. Unknown brain and mind me, baby, let's do it. Y'all see me flying, never drop down, smoking high, I am not round, I'm not round, no denying what I got now, keep an eye out, keep it locked down, see me flying, never drop down, smoking high, I am not round, I'm not round, no denying what I got now, keep an eye out, keep it locked down, you're too strong, wanna battle with the beast, bring a few on, the commander and the chief, all my crew on, bullets rattling and whistle at your toque, never sleep, eyes open, hands clutching on my loop, it's a war zone. It's a war zone. Yo, this a motherfucking war zone. It's a war zone.
And welcome back, everybody, to Risen Esports, the pre-made Rampage finals. I am Budget Golden, also known as Rampage, the most ratchet man on the internet, joined here by Heimerdinger, also known as Reddit Minicaster, and we're already into draft for game number 2 for Rising versus Don't Go Top. Now, both have chosen to stay on the same sides here, but it was an explosive game number 1 here with so much back and forth with Minicaster.
Yeah, indeed. And I like the adaptations we're seeing right away here. They're letting through that Annie. They're banning out the Hecarim instead. It makes a lot of sense because honestly, Lil Dizzy on that Hecarim was a force to be reckoned with. And unfortunately, I don't think Hefty Hedgehog plays it. So they don't have the option of just returning the favor by picking it themselves. Instead, they pick a very early Olaf, pardon me. And that makes me a little bit scared here because they're not going to have the supports, the shields they're used to from the Lulu, from the Karma. The Orianna can do the same, and we'll have to see if that's what Ratatoskr opts to do here.
Now, this is interesting. They're going for the B1 Olaf too, so that means that they're not scared at all. This is what they want to do. Olaf was actually banned last game by Don't Go Top, but as much later on in the overall draft phase. But that Olaf will be matched by the Volibear up in the jungle, and it's the Annie as well for Rising Phoenix. It was banned last time too. Now with all these picks going through, we're seeing a lot of the change up from Rising Phoenix from game number 1 here.
Okay, and one thing we should talk about is the Annie pick here, because Annie was changed specifically on this patch, and that makes all the difference here, because Annie now is that actually a Leona? I think, okay, I'm going to assume that's a Leona until we're told otherwise. But Annie got buffed as a support a little bit in that the shield, the Molten Shield, is no longer only a self-cast shield, which raises resistances. It actually is now an actual shield you can put onto somebody else as well. So that fits exactly into Ratatoskr's sort of play style here of wanting to play a supportive sort of mid laner who can give shields, and it gives Hefty Hedgehog a huge advantage as well, because now he has that shield from his mid laner. Once again, you've banned the Lulu, you've banned the Karma. Well, there's still other champions who can give shields, and he's one of them. And the Leona coming through for Major Zeo as well here. I'm wondering if they opt for a more engage heavy composition here in game 2, because they had a lot of team fighting tools in game 1, but they didn't have quite as strong an engage there, an AoE wombo combo, and picking a Leona of a solo pillar, that's one of the strongest engages you can possibly draft.
It most definitely is, along with the Olaf for the days running into somebody or running away from somebody with that Ragnarok too, can be a force to be reckoned with. And also considering the consistent slows coming out for him with those axes, I see we are sticking with the theme of the axes being thrown at people to go and slow them down. But again, one is Dr. Mundo, game 2 with the Olaf too. So I like it. Honestly, I'm honestly all for it. But the Mundo, as you're just mentioning, will be the final ban, also matched by the set, which was such a force but so go top, especially for Sevar. He's a fantastic set pick. He's a fantastic set top. So I would be interested to see what he brings out next. But also quick note though, we will be getting the run back of the Kaisa Maokai bot lane too.
Yeah, and honest again, if it's not broken, don't bother fixing it. And the only reason I think they're picking that Volibear here is because the Hecarim got banned away, and you take that away from Hefty Hedgehog as well. So Hefty Hedgehog will have to see what else he wants to. Or pardon me, the Olaf was already locked in, I guess. So they knew for sure that Hefty already got his, and the Volibear into an Olaf is a pretty decent matchup there if they do meet in the jungle. I'm not expecting to see a lot of aggressive invades with a Volibear and an Olaf, more just ganks into lane, and a Sivir coming out for Crunchy Bacon Bit here. Now, they've definitely drafted themselves a press go all-in composition. You've got the Tibbers, you've got the Solar Flare as well, and now with Sivir, with Ragnarok, that's going to be something that just runs past you and into your backline. We saw St. Mille's Nature's Grass there, disengaging for them. That Nature's Grass is not going to do anything against Rising Phoenix here.
I was about to say, if that Karma was not bad, I would expect to see a Karma as well, probably going top for Phoenix Rising, so that everybody could just go ahead and press that speed and run straight into the loving arms of Don't Go Top. But meanwhile, on the other end, Don't Go Top. That Cassio pick, I find is absolutely fantastic. To be able to try to disengage, especially with the ultimate, right? That petrifying gaze can really slow down pretty much everybody except the Olaf, I believe. So to be able to go ahead and get out of sticky situations and they represent themselves, I think Cassio will be definitely one pick to watch. And the final pick will be the Shen coming in for Don't Go Top. Shen, real quick, honestly, one of the strongest top laners right now. He needs very little items, very few of them, to be able to actually go ahead and get rolling. And in the Fiora pick, any of these auto type matchups, he is quite good. He just needs a Thornmill and the Bami Cinder, and he wins most of those trades.
Yeah, and I actually just want to withhold that for a little bit because it could potentially be a Shen support Maokai top. I do believe it's more likely a Maokai support Shen top, but there is a small chance they flex that because St. Mille, does play Shen support as well. And I don't know if Sever plays very much Maokai or Shen here. So I will have to wait and see on that one here. But the Fiora, I do want to talk about the Fiora for Mogcall because it is sort of his fallback. When Dr. Mundo's banned, there's a pretty good chance he'll play that Fiora there and can take over a game. And we're talking about the petrifying gauge trying to stop people dead in their tracks. Well, technically, it's not only Olaf who can block it. Sivir's got a spell shield. Fiora's also got a spell block as well. So if they time it right, theoretically, they can still run into Don't Go Top, but not having Leona's stun, not having the Annie Tibbers as well, is going to make it difficult for them to engage. So Rising Phoenix drafting themselves a composition, very easy execution, very simple, understandable game plan here. And Don't Go Top have drafted themselves the counter engage, the petrifying gaze to Nature's Grass. You've got the Stand United as well, and a potential taunt to sort of just stop the engage. So it feels like both teams have a very clear idea of what they want to do, and it's going to come down to who can actually pull it off right here.
Exactly what you're saying, right? And both these compositions definitely have one ways to go into each other and not, right? So just the old interactive ability, I'll be looking at how all that goes down. Plus one interesting too, which I think is really important, will be how their lane stays plays out. Because if we saw before, the lanes eventually very early on is when really decided where a lot of the pressure came on. Now, of course, a lot of it was due to Little Dizzy's roaming early on too. But past that as well, the Kaisa Maokai became very, very oppressive. Set pretty much just dunked on Mundo, and because the early support for Orianna, she was allowed to go ahead and roam and pretty much nullify the brand very, very early on.
Yeah, and I mean, with the Volibear, sure, you can get a couple of good ganks off, but it's not the same as the Hecarim. With the Volibear, you just kind of lumber your way into the lane, maybe run a little bit at the end like an asthmatic old man trying to find a gank. But you compare that to the Hecarim he had game one, where you just gallop right into the lane. Even if you see him coming, sometimes there's still nothing you can do just because he's so fast here. So Lil Dizzy, I don't expect him to have quite the same early game impact. And I think for mid lane, for bot lane, for Efron, for Unknown, and for St. Mille, that's not going to be a big deal. But in the top lane, Sever did actually struggle a little bit against Mogcall, and that was despite the gank. So in isolation now, with the Fiora, who will do really well into either the Maokai or the Shen, I think top lane suddenly becomes a lot scarier for Don't Go Top, and their Don't Go Top suddenly becomes a cry for help. Like don't come up here any more than you already have to. And I think Lil Dizzy and Efron might have to start looking to reinforce that top lane a little bit there. The Stand United might not be as useful if Sever on that Shen is stuck under his turret the entire time.
Exactly. Yeah, that can be another fantastic way to be able to go shut down another one of the win conditions that are present on the side of Don't Go Top. Getting a Shen early, making sure he has almost zero usability and really no items to his name. So even if he actually uses, like you said, that Stand United or tries to do anything at all with it, he will pretty much be coming in, giving you a free tile, and almost become the 300 gold bounty, which everybody does go ahead and require with almost no tank stats. So that'll be quite rough for him. Meanwhile, on the other side, if any of you watched Worlds yesterday or this morning, you saw Bin execute the Fiora. So I'm expected to see Bin level plays from Malka.
Yeah, whether we'll see that LPL Fiora come through here for the side of Malka. And, so we know the win conditions for RPX here. They just want to engage. They want their big team fight. They want their Fiora to pop off and split push here. Kind of similar to what DGT ran with that 4-1 sort of composition in game one, but this time it's Rising Phoenix running that. Now we look at Don't Go Top. We talked a bit about how their composition is really good at stopping the engages here, but stopping the engages alone isn't going to win you games. They don't have a ton of engage on their team. You've got Lil Dizzy who can run in there, Stormbringer their way into the backline, maybe call down or Stand United, and then Shen Taunt. That's about the best engage they're going to get. Besides that, they're mostly going to be playing to scale up a little bit, let that Cassiopeia come online, and then look for objective fights here, forcing a sort of more front to back fight where RPX has to run into them and into all their skills that they do have, which means if Don't Go Top don't get a lead early here, they are going to be playing on the back foot more reactively here against the side of Rising Phoenix. So a higher burden of mechanical execution for Don't Go Top, but they have the tools to do it.
They most definitely do. Now, with that all being said, this is going to be game number 2 as you go and try to go and load onto the Rift. This match is going to be absolutely fantastic. New competition, new champions, and new mindset. Rising Phoenix hope to live up to the name, and Don't Go Top might be able to actually follow through with what their names is. So, but you wanted, if you wanted to wait and find out, as we'll be right back right here on Risen. they play, and I don't even disagree with it, considering they know that Shen can't necessarily try to go ahead and look down. He doesn't have the flash, so starting up on the red is a really, really good call. So now with Little Dizzy goes on the top side, he's having a very rude awakening, thinking like, oh man. So now, actually, this is huge. Wait, I think he probably went ahead and sniffed this out. He's gonna go ahead and go on. He's gonna go ahead and go on to the red side. So
Yeah.
to go ahead
There
and
was
go
a
on the-
ward on the red buff there, so Lil Dizzy
Yeah.
knew that his buff was getting taken, and is instantly going to rotate to try and match on the other side. But now the problem is they were prepared for this, and they're collapsing on Lil Dizzy.
Millie's his blade out, and so are all of the other blades too. And then Ignite as well. Also, Little Dizzy gets chunked down to half as Efron tries to go ahead and match with him, but everybody's dead. He can't do much. His blade, Major Zero still following up, and he flashes as well. I don't know if the flashes are necessary, but that's my opinion.
I mean, that's risky if he doesn't flash. Probably would have survived, but he would have been forced to go back to base. And that's now 3 flashes blown in the first 3 minutes of the game here for the side of Don't Go Top, and only an Ignite used for Major Zeo. That's absolutely going to be brutal for Don't Go Top across the map. The good news is their bot lane did manage to get a level lead here, so they can bully in that Leona and Sivir. And Lil Dizzy, he did not manage to get the red buff, but he will take your blue buff instead. So he does not get 3 buff. It's going to be red buffs and blue buffs traded between the two teams here.
So honestly, not too bad at all. Volleyball gets a bit more to that cooldown. He has stupid amounts of mana, which honestly, I'll take it. On the other side, Olaf too, though a lot of that damage is out there healing. So both of them, going to win con, like you mentioned, because that's exactly what you want to see, right? And you were talking about them before here as well, mini caster. Both of these need to go and execute beautifully on what they want to have, especially Don't Go Top, as they do have a bit of art to execute to be able to like realize, was one might say, with Little Dizzy not on the super engaged type jungler that he is before.
Yeah, we're seeing a little bit of a fight over the Scuttle here, and these teams are insanely aggressive. When Scuttles first came out, it was meta for the mid laners to go and assist the junglers, but the meta's kind of moved away from that. Instead of trading Scuttles, we see everybody just piling in onto that fight. And speaking of the mid laners, I want to talk a little bit about what we're seeing here from the mid laners. Ratatoskr opting for the summon area, and Rav, we talked about in the loading screen a little bit. That tells us that Ratatoskr 100% going support. That's all for the shields here. So Ratatoskr is basically going to be a stun bot, and it's going to be Hefty Hedgehog, who they're looking to carry for the side of Rising Phoenix, which he's completely capable of doing. And then you look across the Efron here. Efron actually opted for the teleporter, not the cleanse, which is the standard Cassiopeia summoner here, but it's very risky when there's so many stuns available. If Efron gets locked down, he's probably going to be dead, because Hefty Hedgehog just going to run right into that backline where we talk about, you've got an Olaf, you've got a shield. Olaf has one job, kill the backline. And with that Ragnarok, with that the on the hunt as well as the shields coming out, he can certainly do that.
Yeah, it is as you were mentioning, like it is definitely greedy, like God summoner to be able to take for Efron, because especially considering he's the one who needs to go and stay alive for the side of Don't Go Top. We saw before how much he was able to do with him being able to get ahead early on. So now with that, if Efron doesn't have the same sort of impact as game number 1, I think with what Don't Go Top wants to do, it will definitely become a lot harder in essence, because Efron previously he was ahead. He took away a lot of pressure there from the bot side. Unknown was able to get ahead, but immediately collapse in onto Major Zero, goes and pushes it back. Done so by Saint Melee, but he has no mana. So when we're engaged like that, you might be able to handle it.
Yeah, and so far right now, we've seen that Lil Dizzy has not managed to have quite the same impact he's had so far in game 1 because of the way the game started, because of his pick here. But now with the Inferno Drake up, you can see that the side of Rising Phoenix, they're posturing for this TP coming down.
As Mid of the Dragon is started up by Hefty Hedgehog too, and on the backside, we're gonna collapse the pot. There's the first blood coming in for Saint Melee. He takes out Hefty Hedgehog. He wants the dragon. Meanwhile, the backside Major Zero just goes, pops the sunlight, but doesn't wear the shades at all. He's really going to get away.
And it's actually Lil Dizzy being able to pick that one up here. So just as we said, Lil Dizzy a little bit on the back foot, he's going to find Hefty Hedgehog there. Not what you normally expect between these junglers, but because Inferno was up and because Don't Go Top was the first one to really start responding, that teleport from Efron. I mean, we question whether or not it's optimal, but at least in this particular example, it certainly paid out. Efron getting in, forcing out Crunchy Bacon right away, and they get themselves first blood and first Drake as well. And frankly, I think they're going to need all the helps they can get, because we spoke about how their composition doesn't have an engage. Well, if you get enough stats, if you're strong enough, you're engaged, kind of doesn't matter when you can just force the fight like we saw towards the end of game 1 here.
Yeah, some fantastic stuff coming up with Little Dizzy. And honestly, the collapse you saw too, taking advantage of Hefty Hedgehog, him being alone in a dragon pit, was it was a very, very good call by Don't Go Top. But like you were saying, they need to honestly just keep being able to do that. If they shut down Hefty Hedgehog early, once they go to that later stages of the game, where Olaf becomes just pretty much kind of null and void, it'll be even more so that Ragnarok will pretty much just be used as a tool to throw down some axes and some slows and just try to get out as well. Because you know Olaf is fantastic early, but if you can't execute early, what are you really doing?
Oh, but the other thing that they have to be careful of is when Olaf starts to fall off, as you mentioned, that's when Fiora starts to come online. And Maulcaw here, we haven't looked that much in the top lane. So far, it's been fairly even, but it is Maulcaw just slightly winning out a little bit in that top lane there, and does have the cull as well. So if they're winning with the cull, that's a little problematic for Sever there, because when they can start cashing that call, getting the items, Sever will no longer be able to match the 1v1. And what's concerning me a little bit more is the fact that the stand united as well. If Shen is constantly being shoved in and you stand united, you instantly lose your turret. So it's going to be kind of dicey, and we'll have to see how that plays out.
Definitely is very, very tough. And I was talking about before, getting Sever on the Bomby Cinder. Once he gets that Thornmail, he should be able to pretty easily trade against Maulcaw. All considering if she doesn't get the vital points, right? Because that means that goes interfere, but Z's blade does miss, and that's all she wrote for that gank.
Yeah, and you can see right now on the top side, Maulcaw actually invading into the enemy jungle, getting vision down because he's strong enough in lane. He's got priority, and he can start looking for Lil Dizzy, and that will spot out the gank. So Ratatoskr just going to be able to walk away, and instead, the red buff actually being taken away by Maulcaw right now. They couldn't 3-buff him initially, but they're sure as hell going to try it now.
Now he's gonna go ahead and fall behind so much in experience at least, but we see to Hefty Hedgehog because he's wasting his time, because he was not wasting, because he's using his time a lot more so the bot side. So go ahead and hold as Ratatoskr goes up, tries to start up the Rift Herald pretty much by himself. He's just dead. Okay.
Oof. I think Ratatoskr was expecting a little bit more support, but Maulcaw not wanting to go in there, wanted the red buff, and that's going to cost him. And now it's 2v3 here with Herald being started up. Herald does do a lot of damage, but with the Volibear, with the Shen, they've got tanks for days here, and it's going to be risky to try this one here. Smite advantage to Lil Dizzy.
There's a TP as well, an absolutely beautiful Petra buying gaze as almost everybody going to go down. The down from the Fiora, man, Maulcaw and both, and Maulcaw and the Olaf too, chase the different sides, but they meet the same fate.
And I'm not sure what they were quite expecting. Unfortunately, the stun incinerate from Ratatoskr did not land on all three, and Hefty Hedgehog was already forced out before the TP could complete. Annie is so strong with the flash Tibbers, but if there's no Tibbers available, it's so much more difficult to land that multi-man stun. And for their sins, they are now down 0-4. Herald coming in as well. That's going to be a bunch of plate gold to Lil Dizzy. They drop it immediately. They want to try and get as much advantages early as they can for themselves here on the side of Don't Go Top. And Rising Phoenix, I mean, game one, they fell behind a little bit. We'll have to see if they can come back, because so far the start of this game has not been kind to them.
Yeah, because like you mentioned before, previously in that game number one, at least to go ahead and counteract a lot of the kills that were going in the way of Don't Go Top, what Hefty Hedgehog was at least able to do was pick up a lot of those macro neutral objectives, right? They were able to get, I believe, at least one Rift Herald and the first 3 Drakes as well. So something going back in their pocket for what they were expunging for themselves. But even now, not able to do that, but Hefty Hedgehog is there. Bots are yet again, they have not spidered them out. They should be able to get it, just waiting to see whether or not they're trying to get some solar flare in. And there, he's just dead. Yeah, he's just dead. Bye.
Yep, and you can see that Ragnarok from Hefty Hedgehog already shows how useless the sort of Nature's Grasp is going to be there. He can just open up a path through that Nature's Grasp, and the rest of his team can just follow up behind, and Unknown just had no chance.
No chance at all, but there's a TP coming into, like you were about to say, Minicaster. As I'm coming up from Sever, exhausted, out of country bacon bits, Statement Lay and both supports fighting back and forth. The ult as a Prophet Country Bacon will be trying to survive, but a Hefty Hedgehog has no Ragnarok, so no more Norse mythology will be had today. the world lives on to see another day.
Ratatoskr, they might be able to find Saint Melee potentially here.
Yeah. They was actually doing pressure against actually matching the bad side as well. Ratatoskr, going on country breaking bits. Flash used. This man lived through the whole thing. That's money. How? Country breaking bits, you're a mad lad.
Yeah, but unfortunately that did did cancel the back to get away there. But
Yeah.
I mean, the problem is, yes, Crunchy Bacon Bit lived, but I'm not sure that's an advantage because he couldn't really ever get into that fight properly there, and that's gonna cost them the Ocean Drake. Now Inferno and Ocean going the way of Don't Go Top, that's really painful because those are two of the strongest early Drakes in the game, and they're already up. That being said, we have to point out that the gold lead is not that big. It's only about 1.5 thousand at 12 minutes. I believe it was actually bigger last game at this point, but it's where the gold's going, and a lot of it on Lil Dizzy, on Efron. Two people, Lil Dizzy is making plays all around the map. You can see that he knows how to share the gold, and Efron is their scaling champion. And when you look to the side of Rising Phoenix, where's this gold coming from? It's coming from Hefty Hedgehog. He's been shafted the entire game, and an Olaf that is behind is nothing at all.
Not much at all. As the taunt lands right on the tippity tips, be able to connect with him and Malka.
Outside dive.
The one situation, though, as you mentioned, boss side dive too, coming in onto Unknown. I don't know if we're going to get out of the flash used to as well. And oh my god, the stopwatch at the right second to make sure that they don't that the end of it 1v1. They're wasting so much time. Flash finally used and we gifted over to Efron, but they spent so much time with the minicaster.
Yeah, Maul call. I can't believe that. We saw the gank starting on that top side, and we still had time to look at the bot side kill before Maul call went down. And Maul call, you say Crunchy Bacon Bits a mad lad. I'm gonna call Maul call the mad lad here for the side of Rising Phoenix because he should have been down in that fight. And after all that time wasted and everything done through, the gold's actually coming really close now. 300 gold difference because so much gold has been lost from that attempted gank.
As you see, Rat has to go to get aggressive. Doesn't land the stun onto the Cassiopeia though. But we see Saint Melee there as well, not able to get the root down either, and it'll end in a little bit of standoff between that mid side. But we're talking about the weak conditions too. Efron being up in 3-0, up in the lane as well as and being able to farm like pretty heavily. He's down a little bit compared to the Andy, but still up overall, I believe, in the gold. So not too bad. We were saying here before, he's somebody we definitely look at, as he was a massive reason as to why Don't Go Top were able to get so ahead last game.
Yeah, and speaking of those win cons for the side of Rising Phoenix, their win cons not doing so well here. And Malko?
No, he's just dead. Like he flashes over Ashley too, but but the ult used, although this is the laser smackdown onto the Fiora, man. Whoa.
That's rough.
Yeah, you were speaking about win conditions though, and that was one of them.
Yeah, and so that was what I was gonna say. Hefty Hedgehog Ratatoskr is their early to mid game win con, and so far Ratatoskr has been struggling to really land those stuns. Even that Tibber drop we saw in the mid lane, no stun off the back of that there, and that's really bad for them. Hefty Hedgehog is so far behind right now. You look over to Lil Dizzy, 4-0-3 compared to his 0-3-1, and that shows in there, not so much in the items just yet, because we haven't seen Lil Dizzy spend. He's sitting on 2k gold, but Malcall, who's their late game skill, 0-3-0 as well. All their win cons falling flat. You can't count them out though, because that's team fight heaven right here.
Engage coming in for Saint Melee, our brother, the bastard Ratatoskr being swallowed up by Lil Dizzy. But look at Ephra, he's in the middle of 3. He's just dead. They go in the Annie's going to get the Annie back though. But everybody's been struck down from Hefty Hedgehog. The might of the Norse and of Odin shall rain down upon thee as he takes down almost everybody here, and 4 from Don't Go Top fall.
Yeah, and that Viking go ham, and that's absolutely massive for them. Just as we were talking about, the win con, finally Ratatoskr didn't quite manage to get that huge multi-man stun, but managed to draw out Sever and Lil Dizzy, leaving Efron completely exposed. More than a question of whose win con that was, it was a question of who kept their win con alive better, and it was Rising Phoenix winning that. And they're gonna, after getting all those kills, they get the top lane turret. They might get the mid lane turret. There we go. And they're probably gonna get the Herald. And suddenly, from a gold deficit, they're up almost 4,000 gold here. That's absolutely huge. And Rising Phoenix, being the one with all the engage tools, if they're the ones in the lead, Don't Go Top have to be a little scared right here.
Like you saw too, it's you saw it too. All those shutdowns on the side of Don't Go Top were very, very juicy. A lot of it going on the way of Hefty Hedgehog as well. As we were saying before, it needed to be a front-to-back team fight type composition for the side of Don't Go Top. Sevar literally to stay at the front, and Efron, as he's able to, because he fired away all sort of from the backside, and Unknown staying alive, they would have been perfectly fine. But with a completely set up team fight, them going for different targets, and with Little Dizzy not being there, Efron, like you mentioned, in the middle of 3, not able to do much at all. Now Drake is up another second here too, but Don't Go Top are first to chase. But look at the TP there on the backside from Fiora. Solifleur in, post, everybody down. That's a complete sleep. That's just everybody almost here down to the side of Don't Go Top. They're also split up here yet again. Meaning Cash and they cannot do anything. I was just saying before, they can't get split up and they're getting chopped down here. The rapier is mightier than a tree, as Sevar says goodbye to thee. Unfortunately, as please let me live, but the Drake will go into their hands as Rising Phoenix will find the way back.
Dropping those bars there, Rav. And honestly, like Hefty Hedgehog with the drive-by kill onto Efron as well. We said that that's what the Olaf wants to do. Just run into the backline, hunt down Efron. You can't stop him. No CC applies, and you know he can just Ragnarok his way through. He literally just ran to the back, killed Efron, and ran right, and just continued running right out the back. His job was done in that fight, and Malcaw coming in, like you said, that rapier taking on the tree more effectively than an axe would. And we were just looking at win cons about, what was that, 3 minutes ago for the side of Rising Phoenix. We take another look now, and suddenly Hefty Hedgehog went from 0-3 to 3-3 here. Malcaw finding 2 kills for himself, and the bot lane that's starting to join the fights. Crunchy Bakebit 3-0-7 has been quietly just killing everybody in these fights here. You forget those boomerang blades just bouncing around, cutting through your front line and hitting the back line as well. And that's yet another thing that no amount of CC is going to be able to stop. Once those boomerangs are in flight, they will find their way through to your back line.
They most definitely will. Speaking of the backline axis, I want to go and take a look at the items that you have covered up for Hefty Hedgehog. As I want to point out real quick, the Hedgehog has went ahead and built a Black Cleaver first past the jungle items because, you know, of all the armor that's on the side of Logo Top. Besides, you know, Sevar.
Yeah, and I mean, talk about that Black Cleaver. You look at Malcaw as well. The Ravenous Hydra already completed as well, means that he can push up really quickly. So now you've got that, both those sort of win cons. You've got Hefty Hedgehog with the Black Cleaver who can run into your back line and start killing your priority targets in team fights. And you've got Malcaw able to start split pushing really quickly, really effectively in the side lanes. And you look over to Sevar here. He's got a Sunfire cape. That's not going to be able to match the sort of wave clear that Malcaw brings to the table here and can look to assert pressure. And that last team fight was kind of big because it's also going to set the tone for the next 5 to 10 minutes here of how the mid game is going to go. And it's looking like Rising Phoenix are just going to be able to run havoc into the backline, and Don't Go Top don't have a proper response to that for the next 5 to 10 minutes in a full 5-5 team fight. They need to be able to find a flank or pick uneven numbers, because in even numbers, anywhere where Hefty Hedgehog is going to be a one-team fight for Rising Phoenix.
Yeah, we're saying it before too as well, and both of the two previous team fights, like consistently, Don't Go Top has actually just been caught out as Sevar they're up on the top side, but almost everybody is in. There's the bear, the shutdown everybody onto the Fiora. A fight they absolutely definitely wanted. Us Ragnarok popped as well from the Olaf as he goes and gets away. The top turret will fall, but so will Malcaw.
And that is the uneven numbers we wanted to see. It looked like it was going to be a 5v5, but Don't Go Top had the inside track, and that was actually a 5v2, and they take Malcaw, the split pusher, down, and you can see Rising Phoenix potentially looking to set up a death push, but there's really no reason for Don't Go Top to go up there, and they wisely opt not to do that. They don't have vision outside their jungle right now, and that is a little risky considering that Baron is on the table and can potentially get shredded down, but this time they gamble right. They're okay, and I think Don't Go Top need to start setting up a bit of river vision. They've got great jungle vision, which will help them get catches, but they need to make sure they don't lose Baron or they're going to lose a lot of turrets.
Yeah, this is going to be definitely tough, as you mentioned. Baron being the nuts and the next overall objective for both of these teams to be able to try to push their leagues just a little bit more, though. But now the question being how to set up around it. Because let's look at the vision here, game overall here, Minicaster, from both sides. Down the river, it's looking, it is all in favor of Rising Phoenix. It is blue across the board, but top side is dark for both teams.
Yeah, and it looks like neither team really focusing on the Baron. And I think a lot of it does come down to Rising Phoenix being able to choose where they want to go, which side they want to. And they are looking for that Cloud Drake, which makes a lot of sense. But now that lack of vision might shaft Malcall over here in the top lane.
Oh, and it moves his blade onto Kuchibiki. Oh my god, he pops! That's absolutely insane. That all the anti-damage immediately onto him on the top side too. As they're going to fight back and forth. The Fiora is extremely strong, but I don't think you do this 2v2 just as of yet. As Saint Melee will pick up that kill. What a love for Sequel on the 7.
Now they found Lil Dizzy.
Yeah, they have. They definitely have. The Stormbringer out for a minute to save him. Along with Sky Splitter with that shield. They won't poke him down just yet. But all these split up fights is exactly what Don't Go Top do not want.
Yeah, I mean, it's not really ideal necessarily for either team. And the fact that they're still trying to find Lil Dizzy here, bear hunting season apparently hasn't started yet. They don't manage to find him. And I want to talk a little bit about Unknown and Saint Melee right here, because we don't pay much attention to the bot lane this game because everything's been happening top side and mid lane. But we haven't seen Unknown and Saint Melee very much. Saint Melee did help with that gank in the top lane. Unknown, 0-4-0, has not been able to participate in these fights and has been hunted down time after time. Has the Essence Reaver, did not go that Manamune here. And frankly, I think he's kind of missed the window for that Manamune, so we'll probably be seeing like Winsus. And if he's not in the fight, that's a huge source of damage that they're missing out in. So for the side of Don't Go Top, they need to scale up. They need to let Unknown find his way back into the game, and let Efron, who already has the Sarah's Embrace and Leandries, who's kind of online at this point, look to continue scaling up. That's it. We did see the second Cloud Drake go down, and with the composition with Sivir, Leona, Annie, and Olaf here, all those are huge ultimates. That's now a 20% cooldown reduction, and they can potentially stack 40% cooldown on top of whatever cooldown reduction items they buy, and that's gonna be hella scary.
Yeah, Marka to Cloudstone yet again. They want to make sure they can't do any more, but nice parry as he's guitar up to going here back to the fourth. He will go ahead and die the brother Tosker. A little bit overzealous on the TP. Honestly, you can look out coming a little bit late. He will go ahead and die to double kill coming for Sever. And this right here is the trigger for them to go ahead and go on to Baron as you cut your big bits is bot side, and Hefty Hedgehog coming from base cannot do much.
And like I said, Efron has the Leandries and the Sarah's Embrace. He's basically online at this point. He can just chew right through Baron there, showing Baron who the bigger snake on the map is. And 24-minute Baron going the way of Don't Go Top. They have dug themselves out of a pretty big hole here. They wanted time to scale. They not only now have time to scale, but they have means to push in and take some of that standing turret gold here away from Rising Phoenix. They
definitely need to be able to do so, as you mentioned in your mini caster, because with the lane states and the way they're pushing all into Don't Go Top right now, they need to get control of Summoner's Rift and try to set a pace of this game a little bit more. Now, what is Baron? I would like to see them go ahead. Don't go for split push. Now we set up before, considering you don't have the hacker here right now. You cannot be charging it back and forth. So play a lot more together as Lil Dizzy, man. I just said don't go to the side. He has to go on a flash just to be able to go and get out. It's a little bit of a noof, but we'll see what more they can do.
Yeah, I mean, Lil Dizzy having to burn his flash there means he won't be able to engage into the backline, but he did blow two huge ultimates. Solar Flare on the hunt, not available.
Ever 2 gets double taunt as well, and right on Tosper almost automated 0 completely onto him. That's a shutdown coming in, but almost Don't Go Top right here. It engaged on a Saint Melee along with the miasma out as well. So Dizzy goes in, immediately gets 2, and after firing away all that poison on the backside, there is no antidote right now for the Cassiopeia, as only crunchy bacon bits.
Look at Malcall.
Doesn't tell the tale, but as you mentioned, look at Malcall. He's pushing all the way to the top. They can't push any further. But that bacon bit stays above for a bit too long. He is so strong, though. Can he do this? One more blade out. Can he chop off the Kaiser? No, he cannot. That's a shutdown for Saint Melee.
And that was the exhaust from Saint Melee to keep them alive. If not, Crunchy Bacon Bit actually might have been able to take them 1v2 here. That was That's a very scary Sivir. 4-1-8 does so much damage here, and Malcall somehow still pulling off the great escape here.
He does this every single time. What a beautiful riposte. Time and time again, he's dodged those taunts by being able to do so. This is some absolutely beautiful Fiora play coming out of him. Now, it's not the Penta, but it's still damn good here.
And I mean, the back and forth from these teams here. Solar Flare coming down. They're looking for Unknown, but this time no Ragnarok to tank up the Nature's Grasp there will mean that they can disengage quite comfortably there. And throughout all of that, with the Baron buffs only having about 30 seconds left, they've only taken one turret down so far. Can they get this lane turret?
This might be a little bit tough as they only have the Baron Power mini here. Now they just need to stick around for him to be able to go ahead and take away at it, as he can't even do that here, mini caster, just showing that even with Baron, they get a little bit of space, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the laners are really all far ahead, because Phoenix Rising, a lot of the champions already quite online. The fights are going very much in their favor.
Yeah, and in that Baron power play there, they got about 2 to 3k gold, but they only got one turret. And I said in game one, I'm going to say it again here, it's not kills that win you the game, it's the turrets, it's the structures. And Malcall is dead set on getting that top lane inhibitor. He just keeps going back to that top lane over and over again. And in that last fight, Sivir, Leona did not have their ultimates, and so Don't Go Top had a perfect team fight. The next team fight, I don't think is going to go the exact same way here.
I don't imagine it does. They see Malcall and Sever going to fighting it out, but the Grand Challenge will go ahead and get so much of the back immediately back for him. But Sever is still a Shen. He has a Thornmail. He has a Sunfire, along with the Titanic Hide.
Yeah, and we are seeing now the Dragon setup as well. It is going to be Hefty Hedgehog starting this one up. And Lil Dizzy getting kind of caught out again on the hunt, already popped here. They've got the Dragon. They're looking to try and get out.
As a minute to go against get 3 Cloud Drakes too, but on the backside, almost everybody clutching bacon, but that was a nice stun to be able to save. Oh my god, he basically saved the Sivir, but he does not get severed. And look at that, just because the Sivir lived, he's so extremely strong, and stun came back online again for Ratatosker. This was the support we wanted to see, and he's doing so well on it. Keep your clutching bacon bits alive is crucial to do, and to do so.
2 for 3 trade there, and again, Don't Go Top seems to win that one out a little bit there, just barely. That said, it was the third Cloud Drake going the way of Rising Phoenix, and considering how liberal they are with the use of their ultimates there, 30% cooldown reduction now means a 49-second on the hunt, 47-second Solar Flare here, and Tibbers 44 seconds. So every roughly 40 seconds here, they can just continuously look to engage over and over again. They can now start using it almost to poke, because that's roughly about a wave and a half here for those ultimates. But Efron fully coming online now. The Rylai is completed as well. And for Unknown, we've got the Guinsoo's Rage Blade just waiting for that Nashor's Tooth to come through. That 3-item power spike going to be huge. And somehow Sever winning the 1v1 against Malcall means that right now, at this very moment, in this snapshot in time, Don't Go Top are actually in the stronger position, and they can call the shots.
They definitely need to be able to do so. Now, Baron is up yet again up another 30 seconds, but as you go back to it, still on top side, it's still quite dark for both of these teams. But now the question also becomes whether when you can go ahead and commit to the Baron, because nobody's positioning around it. I imagine they will do so for at least the mid and a half. Then that also begs the question that Dragon must also be up. So you have to make the trade. You go for the Drake, you go for the Baron, you try to go the greedy play and try to go for both here, right? It is going to be a tough choice for them overall. And if you are Don't Go Top, like you were saying, if they can shut down Malcall and find a pick there, and Hefty Hedgehog is no longer lives, the fight is easily there. But with Ratatosker keeping Crunchy Bacon Bits alive, they need access to him too.
But instead, it looks like they're not going to wait for the Giant. They're just going to go straight for the Baron dance here. You can see both teams fighting for vision non-stop, and we do see Malcall, Sever both have teleport available. Stand United as well for Sever, which is faster as well as giving the shield. And so we see Malcall just running up now towards the Baron. They've got vision control, kind of. There is a ward in the back of the Baron pit, which isn't spot out. They found Unknown.
Oh, this is exactly what it needs to happen. Unknown getting it just pushed way too far up. And that is the third time they've caught him like that. We were seeing how Don't Go Top needs to get the pick, but instead they get picked on. Oh.
But Mogcall burnt the teleport there, so will not have available for the split push. They're going to look to try and brute force this Baron. I'm not sure this is the right call. Their ultimates will not be back up in time for this. And Ratatoskr, is he going to try and hold this?
This is a little bit tough. Ratatoskr already uses the stun very early on. We see the little bit of the little kitty cats trying to vision choose Mogcall as it back and forth. This Baron is not going down as fast as he thought they would. But Sever in, absolutely massive taunt. The Baron goes in, as he gets major 0. Dragon just under 4.5. Gets double kill 2. Oh my god, the jungler is dead. Just needs to go ahead and smite, chase everybody out. Going back with Efron. This is going to get that too. This is the Baron as well. The fight is going the way you said they were stronger. You said they were better, and they definitely are being able to do so. That is the ace coming in for Don't Go Top.
And Rising Phoenix, they were looking so good at the beginning of the game. They faltered a little bit in the mid game here and looked like they were about to make their comeback into the game, but instead they fumble at the Baron. You find the kill. They found Unknown, but when you're attacking the Baron, you have to remember whichever team starts it up is basically fighting a 6v5, and in that case, a 5v5. Lil Dizzy had the level advantage as well on Hefty Hedgehog, and because Hefty Hedgehog tanked it, he was low on health, went down, and suddenly it's Don't Go Top once again pushing in with the Baron buff. We've seen this before here. They should be able to hold on with just only losing this one inhib on this particular push, but what else are they going to end up losing after this?
And that's the craziest part here too, like you were mentioning. We were talking about how Severa was able to get the solo kill onto Mogcall there up on the top side. But now the question of what you were saying too, they didn't even need Unknown in that fight to be able to execute. But that Cloud Drake now, with that now all up, they both want this. For the side of Don't Go Top, it's really going to deny the soul and get some more CDR back in their pocket. But for the Phoenix Rising, this is a fantastic win condition for themselves. But yet again, Don't Go Top, they're so completely split up, and now they just give away that all that position that they had previously away to Phoenix Rising. A Ragnarok already popped, the same Malik goes in, and then the solar eclipse, but the dragon is dead. They go ahead and get it, but what more can they do? Little Dizzy going in the middle of 3. He's popping everybody down, untouched on the backside. Hefty Hedgehog is going to try to go and get away, but there's a killer in strain, and he kills him with that too. No, sir, I am from the void, and you're but a human. As he gets a double kill as well. But a Saint Malay from takes down Ratatoskr. He's using the TP to be able to get away, because look at the mini caster. He stops the TP, but does it really even matter? The channel's the back. There's just too many minions in the base. You didn't think about that. They get the soul, but at the cost of the game. And after such a back and forth mini caster, I can't believe I'm saying this, but Don't Go Top go 2-0 in the series. Looking to take the clean 3-0.
Bloody hell, that was incredible from Don't Go Top. It was just a series of good plays back to back to back there, starting at the Baron and just ending, culminating in that Dragon. They didn't get the Dragon, but they did not need to there. Just that was incredible. And the decision making to call for the double teleport into base and to stall out that fight. One thing we didn't get to mention before that fight started was that Lil Dizzy, Efron, Unknown were sitting on more than 2,000 gold in their inventories. After that Baron fight, they didn't have time to go back and buy items. So they fought the exact same fight that they fought in Baron. And unfortunately, Rising Phoenix made the exact same mistake, which was that they split focus. They went half for the objective, half for the fight. And when your team comp wants to team fight together, that split focus is absolutely fatal.
Yeah, you saw it too in both of those fights. As soon as the guy that got the objective were completely out of the decided, all right, some of you disperse. I'll try to go ahead and take it so that at least you live, giving the signal to Don't Go Top to say, all right, this is the fight you want. Let's go ahead and go right in. And so many of those fights were put in by Lil Dizzy, pulling the trigger or pulling away at the exact right time. So obviously, massive shout out goes out to him yet again. How they're able to come on top of those two fights here, Minicaster, honestly, it definitely does go ahead and baffle me. But definitely, we were talking about the composition, we're talking about win conditions, and we're talking about how it's gonna be a little bit tougher with the Volibear. They did it. and they did a damn good job.
Yeah, and again, like the early game went kind of as we expected. It was DGT a bit on the back foot there, but the mid game, we just never saw that big wombo combo. The on the hunt, the solar flare, those were on point, but the tibbers from Oscar here not looking polished. We didn't quite see that CC chain stunning over and over again. And you killed Unknown, great, but frankly, Unknown wasn't the issue. Efron 11, 2, and 8. That was the issue. Lil Dizzy 8, 3, and 14 jumping your backline was more effective than Hefty Hedgehog towards the end of the game there. And frankly, game 3, it's going to be Rising Phoenix with side choice here. And I'm hoping they opt for the red side because I'm starting to think that they might need a little bit of that counter pick in the mid lane because Oscar has just been bodied by Efron so far in this entire series.
Yeah, just unfortunately not able to have the same impact as his other counterparts too. We had a lot of questions about Efron as he went into the series. He was new. He hadn't really played with it a ton before, and this is him coming into the finals. What kind of synergy would he be able to have? And honestly, so far, Minicaster, he has blown us out of the water. So really good job to him. And honestly, with the season being so close, I still see either of these games going either way. Not here, folks. Now, with that all being said here, you definitely do not want to go anywhere. We will go ahead and load into game number 3 very, very shortly. But with how close the series is, like we mentioned, it could go either way. We'll be right back right here on Risen.
couldn't lie to you kids, it's a fucking jungle out there. Keep your head on tight. Unknown brain and mind me, baby, let's do it. Y'all see me flying, never drop down, smoking high, I am not round, I'm not round, no denying what I got now, keep an eye out, keep it locked down, see me flying, never drop down, smoking high, I am not round, I'm not round, no denying what I got now, keep an eye out, keep it locked down, you're too strong, wanna battle with the beast, bring a few on, the commander and the chief for my crew on, bullets rattling and whistle at your toque, never sleep, eyes open, hands clutching on my loop, this a war zone. This a war zone. Yo, this a motherfucking war zone. This a war zone. Yeah, feel the impact. Yeah, break it open, leaving nothing fucking intact. Hey yo, you been hacked. You're safe, hard in, but I found it, homie, been cracked. Hey yo, we been back. Your band stacking, see you flexing with the thin stack. Hey, you been whacked. I kill 'em all, feel a motherfucking impact. Yo, this a war zone, homie, say you ready and prepared. Take a minute, make them aware. Well, I be sneaking in the back, but it's what the clap, homie, life ain't fair. Caught me crawling through the mud, where the vision saw it clearly. Born a shepherd to these sheep, make them fear me. This a war zone, trenched out, trap house, nothing ever given. Yeah, every day's a blessing, thank the Lord, oh how I'm living. See me riding with my top down, oh cops round, pedal pressing on the gas. I don't think I'll ever stop. Yo, this a war zone, homies.
And welcome back, everybody, to Resident Esports for the Premade Rampage final between Rising Phoenix and Don't Go Top. Now, Don't Go Top have somehow been pulling out these wins within the past two games. Game number one was a stranglehold, but game two was such a back and forth. Now, will they clean to the or will Rising Phoenix rise above the ashes and get that reverse sweep? That remains to be seen. I'm Rampage, joined by Premade caster as we are at the pro draft.
Yeah, and as we see the bans come out once again, DGT seem to have figured out their bans here for the entire game. They continue with the same things, and we are seeing a bit of a switch up here. Maokai being banned out, and that's going to let through the Ash, which Unknown insta-locks right away here. Great engage tool for themselves here, and is Rising Phoenix going to go with the Ezreal pick? Because usually if they go Ezreal, they tend to follow up with the Yuumi as well.
Now with the Yuumi Ezreal pick, so Ezreal has been obviously been locked in. I gotta say here, Minicaster, Yuumi is definitely the most powerful item in the game in current League of Legends. Like it both heals, CCs, and also has a lockdown too. That's long range. And you know what? The craziest thing is, it only costs you 6,300.
Yeah, and I guess Riot letting through some of those mythicals a patch early here, even though we ain't quite in the preseason just yet here, but instead they lock in the set instead. And I mean, the set was picked up by the side of, I believe it was it was DGT picking up the first time. So this time it will be Rising Phoenix playing the set, and we'll have to see if it's going to be quite as effective here.
Yeah, I'm quite interested because we do know that Don't Go Top, especially Sever, is a fantastic set player. He's played it for a bunch of his series and definitely favors the matchup. Because that overall, honestly, He's good into most picks too, and plus the utility that he offers is fantastic overall. So with Rise Venus taking it away, I am curious to see how they are able to overall perform and execute on it. Because Marka likes to play those tanks, as you saw with the Mundo, but doesn't too bad on the Fiora either. So perhaps we might see a bit more of the split push type set, just trying to be able to pressure down some of the side lanes. But the Oriana does get let through for Don't Go Top.
Okay, and pardon me, I stand corrected there by Zerip in chat. Sorry, Rising Phoenix doesn't play Yumi at all, so it won't be the Yumi Ezreal. Pardon me, I got it switched up with another team, but let's see what they opt for. And the Zyra, now that is something they definitely do play. Major Zeo, I believe, that's the most played champion in Risen, played 6 times, tied with the Leona as well. And it's not a Yumi, but it's certainly a hell of a lot of poke in the early game here. But into an Ashe Leona here, so a lot of potential for killing. And DGT so far, what they've drafted, Ashe, Leona, Oriana, that's the core of a team fighting team. And if you turn the nameplates off, I would have believed that that's Rising Phoenix from, game 2 or game 1 here. But instead, that's a really scary team fight composition for a team which has already shown that they know how to counter a team fight, and now they're going to try and play the team fight.
Speaking of team fights, along with the Hecarim band too, the Volibear also taken out as well, along with the Echo too. So now all these bands I imagine will all be focused at the jungle. With the Shen actually, I mean, it could definitely be River Shen, but RPX going to go ahead and take away the pick, considering how impactful it was last time, offering tons of utility and pretty much being able to match the Fiora as well. Eventually in a side, actually no, I got baited. They would lock it in, but still stands directed. All of the jungle bans here so far across both sides. Volibear newly locked out, and Echo is what I imagine DGT will also lower the jungle pool for RPX as well. But I want to bring up a point about the Zyra real quick. I'm personally a big fan of Zyra. I think she does a lot of what Morgana does, but it's a little bit better. Along with the Stranglehold Thorns, she offers a ton of damage burst, a lot of potential, and especially when she's able to scale up and get the Leandries, those team fights can be very, very impactful, especially if she's able to land the Strangle Thorns onto multiple different targets and have the plants as well along at the side. But the main thing is that with the Leona Ashe, if she gets dived upon, she's so squishy. So she's gonna have to play very far back and quite careful.
Yeah, and I mean, like you said, Zyra basically a more aggressive Morgana, but finally we see something a little different from the mid lane here. Forget a supportive mid laner, a more passive mid laner. It is gonna be Azir for Ratatoskr here, the Emperor of Shurima, and I'm a little bit scared here because Ratatoskr has been struggling in lane against Efron, so the Azir does take some time to scale up, and against something like a Jarvan Oriana, there's just no escape from those ganks.
This is going to be definitely a little bit tough, though, but he does still have a stream of shuffles and being able to get in and out with his soldiers, like getting away with the marches. So it should definitely be possible. But like you mentioned, the Azir to Oriana matchup, I see it very, very often, especially at the pro level. And it is quite good. But I'm going to go ahead and confirm whether that's really the Nico. Because this is, if it is the Nico, this is going to be really interesting because that's the Nico top.
Yeah, and Sever does play Nico top. Actually did play it back in the round of 12 there. So, I mean, it's a possibility. And so far, nobody's correcting it. So it looks like it is the Nico top. Holy crap. Don't Go Top has gone all in on the AoE here. Every single champion brings something to the table.
Speaking of all in AoE, they brought out the Kale as well for Rising Phoenix. Now, the Kale, I think, is interesting. Like you were talking about scale, you were talking about being able to perform later on as you go throughout the game. Kale is literally all scale. But the problem is that with Kale, she's not a champion to like level 6. Unfortunately, she's gonna go and get bullied in. But against the Nico, she shouldn't have too bad of a time, I imagine. But so that means that this will be the set jungle for the set Rising Phoenix. And I'm Minion Caster, this is spicy.
Yeah, I mean, and it has to be spicy because Rising Phoenix, their backs are up against the wall here, so they kind of need to pull something out, anything here. If they lose this game, it's going to be a clean 3-0 sweep from Don't Go Top. And given the amount of banter we've been hearing from Rising Phoenix and the way Division Two has kind of flopped for most of the playoffs here, it would be disappointing to say the least to have Rising Phoenix be 3-0 just like that here. And you say that Kale's not a champion until she's level 6. I'd argue she's barely a melee minion until she hits 6, and which point becomes a caster minion at level 6, and a siege minion was at level 11, level 12. She doesn't become a champion until level 16. And with the way the game's been going right now, I'm honestly not sure that you can afford to pick two weak lanes in your solo lanes and try and play into something like an Ash, Leona, Oriana, J4, Nico, which is going to run right at you and just run right over you.
It's like we were saying before, like within the current draft that is currently present right now, Rising Phoenix definitely have certain very interesting but narrow win conditions. I find because you have the Azir Kayle late game, but yet again, still Azir and Kayle are still super late game, right? And with the Zyra bot side along with the Ezreal, I find that that's definitely a bit of an interesting matchup down on the bot side because Ezreal wants to play a bit farther back and poke them down, and Zyra too, but Zyra wants to go for a bit more, in my opinion, like bit more the lockdown style to be able to put as much damage as you can for as long as you can too. So that's why I like so as long as Ezreal is able to land his WQ, shouldn't be too bad at all, honestly. But it is matched by the Ashe along with the Leona too, so super dive heavy on the other side. Now I was stuck on narrow win conditions, but Minion Caster, you're a smart guy, so let me have you go ahead and actually explain to the crowd what Rising Phoenix or Badoko Top have to do to be able to execute either the 3-0 or the reverse sweep, or the potential of it at least.
I mean, we'll start with the 3-0 here because that's the easier thing between the two teams. And it's so simple for them. They just want a wombo combo. They just want to fight you. And so far, the way Rising Phoenix has played game 1 and game 2, it shouldn't be too much of an issue for the side of Don't Go Top to find those fights. Now, looking over for that reverse sweep, that's a little different there for the side of Rising Phoenix because honestly, their composition is a little messy here. You're getting a little bit of this, a little bit of that there. Mm-hmm. Ezreal wants to kite around in the fight. Sett wants to go in. Zyra wants a nice big team fight as well. Mm-hmm. Azir, though, wants a team fight, but wants to be nice and far away with the front line, which he kind of doesn't have. You've got the Sett. That's all you have for front lining. And then you've got the Kayle, who, again, wants to skill up and be able to fight a front to back fight but you don't have that front line once again for the kill. So their composition honestly feels a little broken apart for me. I think Rising Phoenix might just be trying to think, what are their comfort picks here? What do they feel like they can carry on? Because Ratatoskr on a supportive role hasn't worked out. Mogcall on a carry has kind of worked out. So I think the kill pick there is pretty decent. And I think for the bot lane, Crunchy, Bacon Bits, and Major Zeo there, they've had a pretty good time of the game so far. That Sivir, Leona really worked out for them last game. So I think the Ezreal, Zyra, that's more to just try and win and survive those mid-game team fights. So Rising Phoenix has to mechanically play out of their minds. They have to basically somehow find a win in a chaotic fight because that's what they're going to get with the way their composition's coming in. And honestly, I think it's going to be a really huge ask from them to be able to win that. But considering how much they improved between game 1 and game 2, if they improve the same way between game 2 and game 3, maybe they can pull out a win and stop the 3-0.
Like, it's going to be, like I mentioned before, like with the current narrow condition that they do already go 100%. With three other laners wanting to play a bit farther back, I believe a lot of it will really come down to that leaning stage, how they do overall, like within the pre-20-minute mark. Are they able to get those advantages? Does Sett still have the same sort of presence that we've seen for Little Dizzy? And honestly, in my opinion, if Sett doesn't have Hex Flash, might not be as effective because Sett's ganks, like the Orianas that we saw in game number 1, quite telegraphed in my opinion. If he goes in, doesn't land the Facebreaker, that's it. That's honestly a lot of it too. And if you're looking at gank setup from almost all their lanes, Zyra has to land the Stranglethorns, and that's really it there from the bot side. Azir not much gang setup, and Kale not much gang setup besides a little bit of a slow that she does have for herself. So it's going to be interesting to see how much pressure the second really have. But like you mentioned, RPX have a long way to go in front of them, but this could be the game that really does set the pace. DGT overall will have a solid composition for themselves, going for a nice little front to back. Not as much damage overall, but as long as that Ashe stays alive and the Nico pop blasts the right people, I know we're perfectly fine. So, with that all being said, you do not want to miss this. This could be the pen ultimate match between both of these teams. Don't go top versus Rise Phoenix. Who will not go top? Who will rise and who will fall in the finale right here on Risen? We'll be right back.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie to you kids, it's a fucking jungle out there. Keep your head on tight. Unknown brain and mind me, baby, let's do it. Y'all see me
And this is it here, folks, potentially for Rising Phoenix. This is do or die time. They have to be able to perform. They have to get this game, or else they will go ahead, lose the finals, and the Rampage, unfortunately, will be for Don't Go Top. Because like we said, they're 2-0 up in the season mini caster. Like we were talking before, we talked a lot about the win conditions for the side of Phoenix, but we didn't go into a ton about we didn't go into a ton of in-depth detail for the side of Don't Go Top.
And part of that was because for Don't Go Top, their win condition is easy. Basically, it's simply just play the game and don't mess up, and you should win the game here. They've got themselves a nice big AoE composition. You see one big ultimate go down, just power all the other ultimates onto that particular ultimate here. And it really, the burden of execution is completely on the side of Rising Phoenix. They're the ones who have to try and play to their win cons of scaling up, because there are compositions all over the place here. And you know, you mentioned, Rap, that Set, it's going to be hard for him to have an impact in the early game. And I mentioned to you in the loading screen that more than how Set's going to execute anything, I'm more concerned about how Set's going to try and survive here. He's got weak lane, mid lane, weak lane, top lane. Lil Dizzy can just invade him 24/7, and there's very little that Hefty can do to try and counter that invade here on this Set. So it's going to be super dicey for the side of Rising Phoenix here. And Don't Go Top just have to farm up to the point where they can start pressing their leads. They already have all the lane advantages across every single lane, except for maybe bot lane. And even then, like you said, Leona, if she lands on either target, can potentially get a kill. So really strong kill pressure across all the lanes. They just have to play their composition and find kills, find objectives.
Exactly like you're saying. Like, yeah, just simply just go ahead, play it out a little bit slow, a little bit fast if you have to. It's simply just being able to go ahead, shut down a lot of the laning phase, as that's root coming out from Sevar. A lot of damage too. Look at the electrocute immediately onto Markai. It's even though the sides have switched, so that'll give me a little bit of time to go ahead and breathe in, reset my brain as to what this is already gone through. But overall, the laning states have really landed me the same. Because look at Little Dizzy yet again up in that mid side. Wants to flash out around Casco, but it doesn't get the pull though. Has the level 3 and will survive. But like I was saying, size may switch, but Little Dizzy stays the same.
And that flag and drag from Lil Dizzy was absolutely massive. He interrupted the shifting sand, so Ratatoskr couldn't even side away. Had to flash out right off the bat. He's going to be forced to base, and he's going to most likely have to teleport back into lane. Actually, no, because Efron's not pushing this. They found Lil Dizzy.
Oh, nice flag and drag off coming out from him, but this is 2 damage out first. Blood immediately goes over to Zyra. I was saying she's squishy, but she just dies. Oh my god! But look now, almost everybody from the side of Rising Phoenix is completely split up. But you big bits flash in for Unknown. There's a killer for him as well, and Hefty Hadjack can only do so much. There's a double kill for Unknown, and that's exactly what you didn't want to happen.
Oh my goodness, that was a travesty and a tragedy in the jungle there. They thought they caught out Lil Dizzy, but Lil Dizzy was bait. Ratatoskr just went back to base. There was no ward for it. Well, there actually was a ward for him to TP2, but he was going to go on the rotation. And ultimately, it was the bot lane, Unknown and Saint Melee, who were pushing up. So they had priority. They could go in, and they find 3 kills. First Blood goes over to Saint Melee, and I've said this before. I'll say it again. I think out of all the supports you can give a First Blood to, Leona is by far not the worst there. You give a Leona First Blood, and she will abuse you in lane with the health that they can get. So the bot lane right now is going to be super, super rough because all the kills went there. 2 for Unknown, 1 for Saint Melee. We didn't see Unknown at all in Game 2. My gut feel says that's not going to be the case here in Game 3.
Yeah, I died highly doubted too, because you saw in the Kai'Sa he wanted to go ahead and scale up and just be able to get a little bit more advantage too. But this is the fastest 3 kills we've seen so far this game in minicast. We saw this 4 minutes, the audience of 3-0. I said the size has switched, but the game yet again has still not switched. Don't Go Top are still playing the same sort of style and still get that early advantage, and Markar is getting bullied This is so rough for him, but he's able to go ahead, get to level 6, and should be able to farm from range for a little bit. But look at this, he's already 10 CS down. He has to go for the early back too, and likely will have a TP back in lane, be able to catch the wave. It's wow, just wow.
With how things have played out in the first 5 minutes of the game here, we have Inferno Drake on the map. It has spawned. And what this means right now, based on what everything has happened, is that Rising Phoenix cannot fight for any major objectives. We already said it was going to be incredibly difficult for them to do that, but now they simply cannot, because Malcaw teleported to the top lane, and the kill was never going to be a big deal. The bot lane of Crunchy Bacon Bit and Major Zeo, they are not in control of their fates in the bot lane right now. They are just trying to farm things up. Crunchy Bacon Bit started with a cull. He knew he wasn't going to win it, but now they don't even have any prio whatsoever. So you're looking at Ratatoskr and Hefty Hedgehogs to be the two to try and contest any objective. But the moment it becomes more than a 2v2, there just isn't really any hope. And so they have to surrender Inferno. They've got to surrender a lot, and they just need to sit back and desperately try to farm up.
It's that most definitely. So it's just playing the lanes a lot slower as Hefty Hedgehog gets slowed down himself. Like I said, that's the set gank, unfortunately. If you can't let the Facebook, if you can't get there too, but there's the immediate re-engagement from the play. And same melee goes against on the Hefty Hedgehog, but I noticed a bunch of damage down too. That's the power outside that I was talking about, and it goes to the Crunchy Bacon Bits. But he's so low, and the Saint melee sticking around the entire time. Gets another kill back for himself. It's so just overall back and forth, still coming up in favor for the side of Don't Go Top, because Sever comes down to for the assist, and Ratatoskr gets caught up in the jungle. Just when you think they're gonna get ahead, immediately it gets taken away.
I mean, I really didn't think they were going to get a hit, because Sever, if anything, that teleport from Sever was really, really late. He was shoved up in his lane there. He had priority. He can TP, and he won't even lose any plates on his turret there. But he opted not to TP, and that cost his bot lane their life. But if you look at how that played out, Ratatoskr trying to rotate down once again. You run into Lil Dizzy and Efron, and you simply cannot win those trades. And so ultimately, from what looked like there was a snowball's chance in hell of working out for them, it turns out so miserably. And that's going to let Unknown come back into lane with the Caulfield's Warhammer, with the BF Sword, and Crunchy Bacon Bit. I like the fact that he went for the Sheen. He didn't try and go for the tier, because I think you go for a tier at this point, you're just shafted. They'll just dive you repeatedly. So the Sheen at least will give him a bit of trading potential, but I feel like it's so little compared to that BF Sword, that Caulfield's Warhammer, and the Inferno Drake in their back pockets.
Yeah, so I see fantastic stuff coming out of them. Now, the also has a shutdown too, which is great. Honestly, considering she also got a double kill previously down there in that fight. As you mentioned, the Inferno Drake was also theirs, but Rift Herald is also up too. So I would like to see Little Dizzy go up on the top side. You see Efron's getting bullied in back and forth. So at least Ratatoskr having a bit more space in lane to be able to farm and play it a bit more of the win condition. Because you're talking about before, we need to see Ratatoskr get ahead. We need to see him be able to at least scale, and along with Malcaw. So they want to play this out a lot slower than before and give these carries the space they need.
It's just going to work so well for them. And we're also now seeing Saint Melee just roaming around constantly here. He's comfortable to leave Unknown alone in this bot lane 1v2. And frankly, I'm not actually sure that's the right move at this point, because the Zyra is extremely scary. If you do get rooted up by those grasping roots, you can potentially get burst down. And again, Crunchy Bacon Bits opted not for the tier, but the Sheen. So there is damage potential in the bot lane here. But Unknown playing it really safe, and if it becomes a 1v1, he can punish.
He most easily can, but just look at that. Just a couple of autos onto Major Zeo is already taken down to half. So that is what you're giving up. I was saying before, Zyra is very, very squishy, but still, with only almost his two of abilities landing onto the Ashe, if the Ezreal, if Crunchy Bacon Bits was there to go ahead and land the EQ, that could have likely at least been heal or flash pop too. So definitely, you definitely called out the mini caster. This is very dangerous, leaving Unknown alone, especially if Set comes down.
We can see Set here just trying to take the Raptors. They knew that they just lost Herald, so they know that they're fairly safe here. But I mean, chickens compared to Shelly, that's not even a fair trade, man. I love my fried chicken as much as next guy, but you don't take
Mhm.
that over a crab feast in the top lane.
No, you do not. I'd rather go to Red Lobster than KFC, my brother, because that's what I'm trying to say. Just the overall white meat over the secret recipe, and plus it's good for you. It's got that iron, and plus it gives you gold. So it's like like even as trade-offs at the end of the day, but still the pressure will still never combine to the cockroach of the sea. Did you know what's called that?
I've heard that before, but I just think that's a horrible name for. I mean, it tastes so good. Hard to call it a cockroach, man. I actually like eating that stuff. But after all said and done, Ratatoskr
Yeah.
going back to base here is going to hold on to the teleport this time. And frankly, I'm not sure that there's a point saving that teleport anymore. I think Ratatoskr might just want to use it, get back into the lane, try and push out, farm up. He has the stinger. He's got the components for the Nashers, but until he completes that Nashers, he's still going to struggle a little bit. He's done really well against Efron. Every
Yeah.
time Efron roamed, he's gotten himself CS for it. So he's sort of the bright light here for the side of Rising Phoenix. We have seen him struggle against Efron in game 1 and game 2, but now on the Azir, it's looking like a very, very different story. And I think that's good because they need some hope somewhere here, especially with the Drake coming up in about 1 minute.
Yeah.
I still don't think Rising Phoenix can contest for it.
Yeah, it is definitely very, very tough here for themselves. So within this early overall game, or early to mid game, they have to give up a lot, like we were saying before, just to make sure they can play a little bit slower, a lot safer. But Maka getting caught up by his roots over and over again. He's being forced to just play so far back, and this is why the Kale. It's like it can be such a dangerous pick, but finally one roots miss from Sevar, giving Maka just a little bit of breathing room. But like you said, Ocean Drake is up another 20 seconds, but Set along with Major Zeo are positioned around there. So a good Strangleholds along with a Showstopper could potentially turn the fight.
But unfortunately for them, Saint Malay is not that far away. So if they don't immediately burst down Unknown, the tides will get turned. The Solar Flare has a disgustingly long range, and they might just look for something here.
And Divine Vengeance also used on the top side, but UC's against Blade lands onto, but Angelica's a miss will not get it, but not necessarily matter. The Solar Flare's on the other side of the map, but still, Lil Dizzy's there to go for the same beautiful streamer shuffle to get them out into the tower, Showstopper into the wall, as Lil Dizzy uses the Cataclysm, but why, brother, you were already dead. You didn't want to say the ultimate, but still, at the end of the day, that is a 2-for-1.
Or 2 trade at the end of that there. I think Major Zeo actually respawned before that fight.
My bad, you right, 2-for-2.
Yeah, that's how low level they are right now, but that will be the Drake going over the way of Rising Phoenix. And it's massive for 2 reasons here. 1, you stop the Dragon Soul stacking. That is a huge issue here. And 2, it's the Ocean Drake. And Maul desperately needs that Ocean Drake there because he's just been bullied in the top lane nonstop. Malkaw teleported into the bot lane as well and didn't get any assists for it. So it looks like they're going to actually just swap lanes here. They're going to send Crunchy Bacon Bits top instead for now to try and protect that turret because Sever didn't opt to teleport, didn't actually have teleport available and opted to just constantly punish this turret. And now Shelly being dropped, that should be first turret going the way of GT here.
It most definitely will be because that full charge takes about 2 plates and then some. So all that gold also going over to their way. Hefty Hedgehog, though, we're seeing almost everybody from the side of Dunko top, along with Rising Phoenix are there as well, but a little dizzy. Flag and Jack to go ahead and get out, but there's a shifting stance to go in and chase him down. Takes a lot of turret shots. Brother Tosca is very low on mana. All those soldiers will not be able to catch him. The spear and the wind beneath his back will be more than enough.
Unfortunate for Ratatoskr, their Emperor's Divide was still on cooldown, could not try and interrupt Lil Dizzy's escapade back out there. And Lil Dizzy somehow, I don't know how the man's alive. All 3 games, Lil Dizzy's been playing so well in the jungle here. And right now, what I'm waiting for is that one big team fight that we haven't seen so far. DGT's composition wants that big team fight. So far, they've been finding leads without it, but I'm just, there's that excitement here for that Cataclysm, that Shockwave, that Pop Blossom, where everything just circle after circle after circle, and you just sit there till you get gray screen. That's what I want to see here from DGT. And props to RPX so far for avoiding that situation. They managed to get a dragon, without having that happen so far, and we'll have to see how this game goes goes on, because so far, while Rising Phoenix is falling behind, if they continue to be able to avoid losing too many people at one go here, they might have a chance at reaching that late game that they need to reach with the Azir and the Kale.
Now, speaking of the kill, we see Rift Herald as well. And it's going to be up in the 15 seconds. So that likely will be the next objective for both of these junglers. We already see Jarvan going to pathing up to the top side. Now, honestly, I'm not too sure about Hefty Hedgehog's ability to be able to actually try to commit. But Karma Pop lost a match by both ultimates on both sides, as both Markaz is trading back and forth. And we saw a little bit of the hint, because now that he's level 11, he has a bit of range. He can actually try to fight. Speaking of fighting, Major Zia, so he had to play it in the shot. The shockwave not even yet to use that. Yeah. The arrow gun almost gets two. The cataclysm, and there's a team fight you wanted to see. You're ready, mini caster. Oh, yeah. Everything just clicks. That's a triple for the Jarvan.
That right there was exactly what I wanted to see. As you said, the cataclysm, the shockwave there, and there's absolutely no hope to get out. Set doesn't really have an escape. Kill doesn't have an escape. Neither Zyra. Only Azir and Ezreal kind of can, and even Azir struggles to try and get out of that. And that's the problem there. And I want to give props to Unknown as well. Unknown did not physically get to the fight, but that enchanted crystal arrow was absolutely massive to hold them into place there. The True Shot Barrage came across as well, but the damage is not as strong as CC at this point in the game. And now look at where we are, 12-4, 5,000 gold up for DGT at 16.5 minutes. And frankly, for the next 15, 20 minutes here, I don't see Rising Phoenix being able to win any fight. And they're going to have a Herculean task right now, just trying to survive and hold on. Markaz has been doing a great job so far. Like you said, so far looking like he can kind of actually trade even against Sever. And Ratatotsker actually was doing okay till they picked that fight. So lights aren't out yet. There is still hope, but it's looking real dark.
Like, yeah, this is going to be really tough for them as Markaz is getting bullied up in all these lanes. Now, we're talking about before with storyline between these two teams. Rising Phoenix, we were questioning whether they really face a challenge, whether they've really been tested. And on the other hand, Don't Go Top, the Cinderella story for them. Rising up from the bottom, almost being knocked out of their groups to face team after great team after great team, to finally making it to the finals with Division 1 against Division 2. And also coming with a sub at the last minute in these finals, who's done fantastic, by the way, too. So if they get the clean 3-0, this Cinderella story is looking to have a much happier ending than people thought it would here, Minicaster.
Yeah, and I mean, if you look at it from the side of Rising Phoenix, they've not been tested. And I feel like this is their first major test, and so they're not used to this. And Sever just ignoring Kog'Maw a little bit. That bot lane turret is on 2 health, ladies and gents. You can't even see the red in that bar, and they pick up the Cloud Drake for themselves. And we spoke about it last game, but these sort of press our comps, when these Cloud Drakes start stacking, look real scary here.
Have we had Cloud Drakes? I think we have a Cloud Drakes in almost every single game we've had so far, except maybe the first one.
Even in the first one, it was a Cloud Drake as well. They've caught Ratatotsker.
As he won't be able to go ahead and get away with, that's actually going to flash out. That Cloud Drake, as they're mentioning, will help with the movement speed, but still Don't Go Top looking for the engage. Have to come back and drag for flash, showstopper back into the team. But my brother, there's nobody there with you, man. Strangle Thorns will just barely miss, and look at the pullback in. The shockwave gets the double for the Ash Ratatotsker. Thinks about going in, but decides against it. It's yikes.
Yeah, yikes. And not only Lil Dizzy dropped down to double-digit health 2 or 3 times in that fight there, where one auto would have been enough to kill him. The Triumph kicked in, the heal kicked in as well to keep him just barely alive. And you've got to feel bad for a Hefty Hedgehog there. That showstopper was really well positioned, really well placed, and there's just zero follow-up from his team. He's the only not late-game champion right now for his team, and it's just not paying dividends. Markaz able to get a turret in the bot lane at least, so does pick up a little bit of gold, and the gold lead right now is held to that 5,000 gold lead and has not snowballed despite the 2 deaths.
Okay, it is. This is definitely a little bit tough. We're talking about what kind of impact Hefty Hedgehog might have been able to have throughout this game. It's now when you are the set with a showstopper back in the engagement, especially into the wall, it does allow you a little bit of breathing room as especially with the stun. But you need to take with you. Crunchy Baking Bits was there, like you were mentioning, and really only Major Zero putting on Stranglethorns, but it was just right on the cusp of being able to hit anybody like you unknown, just staying alive for so gosh darn long. Just A being able to do so much. Now, main caster, if you are looking at Phoenix, how will they rise from the ashes? How will they live up to their name?
Well, I think first of all, they need to set up their fights a bit better there. You mentioned Major Zio was the owner who participated with the Stranglethorns, but the Stranglethorns is not where the damage comes from for a Zyra here. It's having those plants already down, and then putting the Stranglethorns to amplify their damage. And the itemization as well. The Ryla is the first item completed from Major Zio. That screams defensive to me. And when you're so far on the back foot and you're one of the only two sort of early game champions, I want to see damage so that you can try and deter fights. They just need to try and desperately hold their turrets right now, and they need to try and catch people in rotation. Malcall constantly split pushing, that's the right decision. He's already level 13. He's almost at a point where he's at a champion here, just a couple more levels. If they can just hold out 21 minutes with a 5,000 gold deficit, they've come back, or they've played closer games from worse positions here, so just keep stalling.
Exactly. Now, as a coach said, just keep swimming. Enchanted Coaster Arrow just barely missing by a hair. So not being able to go and lock him down a statement and looking for it. Like there's there's also the lunar eclipse as well, might say, because he will not get locked down by the sun for now.
He actually managed to punish in the mid lane as well. The Iceborne, call it, completed already for Crunchy Bacon Bits here. The Manamune is starting to stack. Once we have that sort of 2-item spike, once the Manamune gets completed and becomes that mirror mana, Crunchy Bacon Bits will be online as well and can stall out fights, can poke and protect against sieges. So it's just a race against time right now for Rising Phoenix. And not in that they've got to beat the clock, but more that they've got to stall that clock out. And their last 1 minute here of play, or minute and a half since that turret went down, has been exactly what you want to see. Malcor pushing out one lane there, able to escape. Crunchy Bacon Bits, Major Zero also pushing out lanes. The longer they can stall, the better. And that Ocean Drake, again, huge for them, because that is also a bit of a stall out here. Drake coming up about 40 seconds. That's going to be the next major fight. And I don't know if Rising Phoenix necessarily wants to fight this or just maybe poke it out and slow it down.
And honestly, like you mentioned before, going back those two games, Rising Phoenix, if you go and take a look at it, they are still even in turrets. And just like you were saying, what they have lacked over right now in just perhaps just in kill pressure or in leads, they've consistently made up for in the macro play. They want to bring around for themselves, but Wages here might be going to caught. I guess popped immediately Stranglethorns there at the bot side too. Malcall pops the ultimate, but just stunned up. It doesn't get the ultimate at the end of the day, but still, we saw it was a trade on both sides. Still a 2-for-1 at the day for Zonko Top.
Oh, and Rising Phoenix needs to get out right now. They do not win this here. Instead, they're turning for Unknown, but they're getting baited.
It's completely slow because look at several corner the backside showstopper immediately on to but Molly also used that escape from the Leona. I guess it's the tank, but like no, broski, you do have a hex patch for that, but with that not being up, you can't do much in the set. He's punching, he's cleaving, but he's dying.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. This is. I had questions about whether they wanted to fight this Drake, but that wasn't the premise that it would be a 5v5 or a 4v4. The moment they lost Malcall and Major Zio, they 100% could no longer fight that, and they needed to just back completely out there. And that's kind of the problem right now when you're that deep into a hole. Lil Dizzy can dive your backline, and he's guaranteed a kill, maybe even a second if he's lucky. Malcall, nobody on the side of Rising Phoenix can afford to get caught out right now, because if you get dove, it's a win to trade even. So if you ever get caught, you cannot answer back. That's going to hurt you. And now Baron is on the table. We're 24 minutes into the game. Last game had a 22-minute Baron being taken away by Don't Go Top. And now, I mean, they might be able to try and brute force this one. And it's going to be super, super rough because Hefty Hedgehog is down a level again and is going to struggle to try and steal that.
That we're saying before too. Not considered to be forcing. The threat is always now Malcall. He does have the stinger along with the Hextech Gunblade. So he finally is a fully like he is also level 14. So he's so close to being that fully formed, honest to goodness champion. But like you mentioned, Minicaster, he had to go right for it, to try to brute force down that Baron. And look how fast it is going down. Along with Sever, Dizzy, Saint Malay, and the unknown on the Ash. But there's a TP2 coming up from the bot side. The Chaos Guards are going to stop them. After the Hedgehog comes in, the Smart is out. They're going to get the Dragon too. The Shooter will get obviously nobody. The Pot Blaster won't either too. The Showstopper goes to the backside, and they just get pot one after another. The Flag and Drag slices their hearts and takes away their health bars.
The Hedgehog was so close to stealing that Baron away. It dropped down to less than 100 health, but Lil Dizzy manages to secure it there. And I mean, I wanted to see circles on top of circles. We got the Olympic symbol there, circles every which way. And unfortunately for Rising Phoenix, they get wiped out. And this, I don't know if necessarily this is going to be game, because 25 minutes of death timers aren't quite long enough, but they can certainly get a Nexus start if they opt to try and stay around, but instead they back off. They broke open the base, and frankly, you do that off of Baron, that's your avenue to come back and look for a win shortly after.
Yeah, previously we saw before, because in the previous Baron plays don't go top. They don't have that same sort of pressure up the mid already at the side lane. They didn't have these same turrets being taken. But now, because of how ahead they've been, how many neutral objectives they were able to capture, they're simply able to go ahead, like you mentioned, get the inhibitor nonetheless and push more so as well. So now things are looking a bit farther and farther away for Phoenix Rising. Will they be able to actually get back into the game? Really is the question, because you were talking about catching them on the rotation, getting some side flanks, finding picks. With Little Dizzy being 9-2, he has almost 3 items to his name. If he's able to catch almost all these people out, what is he supposed to do? As speaking, get it caught out, Markov pops you up and get again just to die. Yep, bye.
Okay, we should talk a little bit about Malkar at this point, because that's the second time he's been caught in that specific position. What Malkar is trying to do is he's trying to push out a side lane, which the idea isn't bad. The problem, though, is that they've lost vision in their jungle and around river. And because they don't have that control of vision there, anytime Malkar gets pushed out that far, he's vulnerable. And he cannot afford to get caught out. This is going to cost them a turret and an inhibitor at the very least here.
I imagine it does. So now with all the Baron apartment is going ahead and pushing in, but the Shooting Shuffle doesn't actually get out on anybody, and that's the goal trigger for Unknown. He was to go pop the Emperor and a servant no longer, as he goes and becomes back to the ship, back to the grave here, going to get mummified as little as he goes back in along the shockwave 2, going for a little bit longer. Everybody with that from Phoenix Rising is falling. The Phoenix will rise no longer. They will remain in the ashes. The shutdown comes to finally from Malkov as he gets himself onto the board. But they're going to try to force for the end here, man. And from the bottom of the banks, the complete bottom series, I cannot believe that Don't Go Top come out on top here, man. They will be the ones rising.
It's risky here. I'm not going to call it just yet because Redatoskar is back up. All their carries are here.
No, sir. I believe. I don't believe anymore. I'm a liar. No, I jinxed it. I'm sorry. Efron.
Can Efron get away? Redatoskar really wants blood here. The shockwave. Redatoskar.
Okay. So that was fun, right? Interesting game. So Phoenix Rising need to be able to catch people out of rotation as one of their win conditions. But off of their play in their base, they also go ahead and get the Cloud Drake. So at least some more movement, a bit more CDR for themselves, which are really good in their stats. Meaning Caster, the game's still going on. Why?
Well, okay, so that fight is not quite as extreme as it kind of looked like there. One thing we have to keep in mind is that Rising Phoenix, I've been watching their breakpoints, and Malkar now has the Gunblade, Guinsus, and the Nashers too. He is also level 16, so this is that late game kill who is now online. We've been waiting all game to see a 5v5, and finally we might have a chance because KO is now an actual champion. And then we look at Crunchy Bacon Bit, who was the other instrumental part of that fight. Had the Iceborne, the Mirror Mana, and the Executioner's Calling as well, was able to stop a lot of the regeneration and poke from safety. And Ratatoskr was really what tipped things over the edge there. That Azir, I mean, at level 15 with the Gnasher's Tooth and Leandries, can burn through targets if he can do it from safety. So combine that with how low on health DGT were after that fight, and suddenly that fight makes a lot more sense because DGT overstayed a little bit too long with short death timers. And now you can see, with all the carries now kind of online here, they can wave clear really, really well. And it's up to DGT to try and find a proper fight. They can no longer rely on just sheer raw stats to come in here. They need to actually catch a carry.
I believe this is says same Malay goes very far forward, just nice point and click stun coming off from him in the attack. The shockwave is absolutely huge. Can't go to save himself yet again. Hefty Hands are fighting up the backside. We see both Efron and Unknown are still alive. The massive 2 damage to the face onto Efron will catch him, but so far it is still a 3-for-1. They want to take out the inhibitor, but they don't even need it because the biggest inhibitor right in front of them is there. And rising from the ashes, now finally, don't go top, complete the Cinderella run, and they take the 3-0.
I think, Rav, we might have misunderstood the name. Don't go top this entire season. We kept thinking it was a warning, a cry to not go to the top lanes. Now that I think about it, I think it's more of a warning that you're not going to be able to go to the top of the league as long as DGT is there, because DGT, they complete the Cinderella run here. They actually make it. They take out team after team after team, and it culminates in the Division 1 versus Division 2. They can now say they beat the best of both divisions here.
They most definitely can with the way they're able to, because he web and weave the way through this team fights. We were saying, has Phoenix Rising really been tested? Will they be able to stand up? And although the first 2 games looked like close, we were like, hey, maybe the side switch is what they needed. But no, right from the beginning, don't go top. Lets them know that we're staying bot, and they catch our Jarvan in the jungle. Sorry, they go and catch us in the jungle, immediately take that stranglehold lead, and they do not let go until the end of the day, man. And I gotta say, for you, if I'm looking at the game, if I'm looking at this series, for these finals, my MVP has got to be Lil Dizzy.
I 100% agree here. Lil Dizzy everywhere on the map, and his KDAs across every single game here really support that idea. I mean, I feel like so many people on DGT were absolutely massive. St. Malay's Maokai, I mean, the fact that they managed to draw a ban on a support like a Maokai, which isn't even a conventional support, or Efron, that last 4-man shockwave. I mean, I said catch a carry. He went above and beyond. He caught 4 of them. But ultimately, all of that's built on the back of Lil Dizzy's early games and mid games. The way he just played that was just absolutely massive. Definitely, I would agree. MVP vote to Lil Dizzy there.
It most definitely is, man. Just fantastic stuff overall. As you are going to try to see if you are going to get an interview for the side of DGT, want to go ahead and give a quick little shout out to Saint Malay for subscribing for Twitch Prime. Congratulations to you, brother. Appreciate you doing that. It's like this is absolutely insane, man. I never thought I'd accomplish the day. I remember seeing these guys. I remember seeing these guys from the beginning of the season. They're looking a little bit iffy. It was close series overall, but they actually climbed to the top, right? It's, by the way, small note too. Saint Malay wanted to let us know it is his son's birthday. So shout out to Saint Malay's son, bro. Happy birthday to you, man. That's what's up, bro.
Saint Malay just won basically a trophy for his son there. So congrats. I mean, that was absolutely massive. And props to Rising Phoenix as well. To be fair to Rising Phoenix, games 1 and 2 were really close, actually. Game 1 doesn't look as close by the end of it, but it was really close in the beginning and in the mid game. In fact, they were leading. And game 2 as well, they were just absolutely huge. So Rising Phoenix falling here doesn't mean that Division 2 was inferior by any means. It just means that Don't Go Top was ultimately the best team in Rampage Premade Season 9. Congrats once again to them for pulling this off. You think about it, was it 11 weeks regular season, followed up by a grueling playoffs, and through it all, don't go top. Just such a clean finish here. And I do believe we have confirmation that we can try for the interview here. So we are going to go ahead and try and pull in one of the players from Don't Go Top. So should just be a moment or two here.
Yeah, exactly. We definitely want to go ahead and hear more for them, more for their series, as like as this is. I definitely want to be able to understand what was going on with the comps that they had picking for themselves and how they were able to execute, especially in that second game where it was so back and forth. It was so close between both of these sides, and I gotta say, it was a tough time. A tough time too, but how they were able to bring it out at the end was massively impressive, I gotta say.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know if you can hear it through my microphone, but we've got some fireworks going off here. They are congratulating, pardon me, the winners of the of the series here, because again, absolutely so clean. And honestly, this makes me so excited for the next season of Rampage Premade as well, because this, I feel like the entire season had such good storylines. We had Apes Together Strong, from Division 1, the previous winners of Season 8's Open Rampage as well. And they came in, they went strong, they fell. We have the Cinderella run. We've got Rising Phoenix as well, the way they just played through. Just such good games, such good storylines. And yeah, I'm just super psyched for this. And you know what? Like we do have the preseason before we get into Season 10, but I'm already looking forward to that Season 10.
Yeah, I most definitely am right now. As like, because meaning Caster now while we are looking at it, like we're also looking at you while you're looking like Doc from Back to the Future, right? As I believe we have Unknown Abyss going ahead and joining us here. Unknown. Unknown, you are muted, my good man.
I think it might be a permissions issue.
Okay,
Slight technical difficulties. We're just getting Unknown unmuted here.
Mm-hmm. As you're going to go ahead and get him to talk to us as to why he did what he did, answer the question, and be able to really understand from him what was going on through his head now with this. Now, Honor Abyss, we are reaching out to you, sir. Are you able to understand what we're saying?
And we got him. We connected to him from beyond the ether.
Hey guys.
Hey.
Thanks for having me. Yeah. Very, very happy for the team. They absolutely fucking crushed my expectations.
Mm-hmm. I mean, honestly, I couldn't agree more. But firstly, this is a fantastic job and really well done to you guys for the clean 3-0 and completing the Cinderella run, man. Completing the Cinderella run. Honestly, not many expected it, many wanted it, and y'all did it. So shout out to you guys.
Thanks. I want to make sure Saint Malay, Lil Dizzy, Savar, and Efron and Wilderness, they all fucking blew it. They did amazing.
I couldn't agree more.
I want to mention that their mid laner was talking trash in the last stream, and that gave my players a lot of motivation.
Yeah, I mean, you guys repaid them 3-0, the clean sweep here. And Unknown, I wanted to pick your mind a little bit. This series here, forget the series, the entire season. We keep talking about the Cinderella run, but you know what? In your opinion, as the captain, how do you feel about your season here? Did you ever feel like you were the underdogs, or were you always confident throughout the entire season?
In the beginning of the season, when we didn't really have a team, we went 1-4, and I was like, all right, I know we can be a top team. We just need the right players to show up. And I had the right players show up, and since then, we've only lost one series, and draft prep was huge. Talking to people like since we got the team, that's what we've been running with, and I'm very happy with everyone.
Now, speaking of the team that you had to come in with the right people, you also had Efron subbing for you guys once before, and also come in for the final. So tell me a bit more about the substitution and how we play with you guys, especially nearing today and this overall split?
Yeah, so Wilderness has been a key piece in our success. Him and Dizzy, they have a great jungle mid duo. Wilderness was not able to play today, but we had Efron and we practiced with him quite often, and we definitely made it work today.
Yeah, you absolutely did.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Efron, you could see it in the chat, people, or maybe you couldn't, but people say Efron gap there throughout the series. It really did look like it in games 1 and 2, and even in game 3 for most of it as well. And so now that you've successfully won here, season 9, you guys are the champions. It's Don't Go Top here. What are your plans? Are you guys going to come back here season 10? Are we going to see you guys in this squad back again?
Are you going to Disneyland?
I will leave it up in the air. I think that a few players will be hitting plat this season, so we may not have the same roster. I definitely want. I'm still keeping in touch with them, but we may not be a team that is in Gold League.
I'm sure that no matter where you guys go, I mean, you guys, each of you are individually so mechanically good as well. So it'd be a shame, a crying shame, to not see you guys all together again. But just to see you guys in any of the leagues here, whether it be Rampage or one of the other, the Plat League, the Diamond Leagues, maybe even the Uncapped Leagues.
One day, maybe.
Most definitely. So, like Minicaster was saying, it's and honestly, it's not even with the money, the prizes, it's the journey, and overall the friends we made along the way. And I don't know about you, man. I had a great time. I made some friends, and I saw some fantastic games. Now, with that all being said, bro, amigos, I want to go ahead and thank Gable for sticking through all the tech difficulties. Our man, the Observer, and also our production. I want to go ahead and thank you, for coming on as well. And big shout out to Risen big shout out to Risen as well for having us for the finals. Minicaster, as always, appreciate you being my duo through thick and thin, to hair and no hair. So clearly that overall big brain difference there.
Could I give one last shout out?
Of course you can, man. What's up?
All right. I want to shout out the casters. You guys were insane. I love watching you guys.
Hey,
you guys are awesome.
I really appreciate it.
Thanks, man. It's great, that I'm glad that we could bring a little bit more to the game here. And, you guys make the games that we cast. So thanks for the exciting games you gave us. And huge shout out to all the viewers as well. We've had some really big numbers today. Really appreciate it. Hope you guys had fun sticking through us through our technical difficulties and through everything here. You guys out there make this happen.
Yeah, most definitely. So thank you to all you random Minicaster simps. That's what's up right there. But with that all being said, I have been Ravishing Ravis, the most ravishing man on the internet. We thank you all for watching the Risen Premade Finals and have a wonderful night. Peace.